Hey guys, welcome back to the show, episode 20. We made it to that far, so that's pretty good so far.
Halfway to the amount of subscribers we have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Joe, Kenny, Noah, and we have Chris with us today. He is the voice for Three Legacies Wrestling, in Lancaster. I've been in the wrestling scene for about 20 years, so we're bringing him here to answer some questions.
Not about 20 years. Come on, Joe. Get it right.
Exactly 20 years, May
14th.
May 14th. It is May 23rd.
There you go.
Look at that.
They're watching it.
Ah, well, we're trying.
20 years and 9 days.
They'll be watching on the 31st.
Not counting leap years.
That's why I bring you guys to razz my intros, because I screw them up every single time. So yeah, we'll dive right into it, I guess. Yeah, joining us here, dude, want to tell us a little bit about, what you do over there at Three Legacies kind of thing?
So I am the play-by-play commentator for Three Legacies Wrestling. I have been with them since day one. Three Legacies Wrestling started in October of 2022. Now, kind of how it got started was Ricardo Rodriguez, who was in the WWE. For those who don't know, he managed a guy named Alberto Del Rio, former world champion. He got brought in to be Del Rio's personal ring announcer. Del Rio's gimmick was that he was this rich Mexican aristocrat. So he's got the fancy cars, he's got the fancy house and everything, and he can afford his own personal ring announcer.
That's awesome.
Ricardo got the gig, and this is his story to tell, but I'll kind of just share it a little bit. He wasn't the first choice, but the guy who was supposed to do it just dropped out. And he was there in training, so they're like, well, he speaks Spanish, let's use him. And he basically bought a cheap tuxedo and got to be on television, and he has been at multiple WrestleManias. He was in Bret Hart's last match. That's a really fun stat of his. Bret Hart tag team with John Cena on an episode of Raw and applied the sharpshooter to Ricardo. And that was Bret's last official match. He hasn't had one ever since. So that's a really cool stat for him. Now, Ricardo dealt with a couple of addiction issues, which led him to Lancaster to work with Blueprints Recovery. Chris Dreisbach, who is affiliated with that group, kind of helped found it, I believe. He got Ricardo here. And after doing this really big baseball stadium show at the, at Clipper Magazine Stadium, I think it's changing its name this year.
Yeah, it's like Penn Medicine.
Penn Medicine Field or something like that.
Yeah.
They did a really big show, and he decided to kind of settle here. And that was August 22.
Okay.
So next thing you know, he's opening up a school, and he's got a show coming in October. And I had been trying to get something in Lancaster for a while. Lancaster Championship Wrestling used to run here.
Okay.
The guy who originally ran it was Jason Smith. He was the maintenance man at the Lancaster Host Resort, which was where all their shows were. And that's how we met, because I actually worked there for a little while in their convention area. So that's how he and I met. Then he sold it to some guy who ran some pizza place. I actually don't remember the name of it, but he's in jail for money embezzlement. So that was the end of LCW. I would dive into the details, but I just don't remember them. All I remember was, he's in prison. I guess that's the end of that.
Wolf of Wall Street, or Wolf of Lancaster, I guess.
Yeah. But Phil Stamper and I had been trying to get something running here for a while. We had talked to Spooky Nook. We just couldn't get that off the ground.
That's a pretty
big
area.
he's like, well, good luck. I'm like, well, I'm going to try. And then all of a sudden I find out, hey, Ricardo Rodriguez is here and he's got something going. That's kind of cool. So I shot him a message. I told him who I was. I said, hey, my name's Chris O'Mealy. I've been in the business for this amount of time. I've done all these different gigs and everything. I mean, literally the only thing I've never done is actually wrestle.
Okay.
I've done everything else there is to do in wrestling. I said, I'd love to just help out. And he goes, yeah, come down to the school one night and we'll chat. So at the time, the Three Legacies Academy, which is over in Centerville, only had one student at the time, Big Clay, who's not there anymore. And so I walked in, I watched training. After Clay left, we sat down and we chatted. He goes, well, I don't have a commentary team. I said, well, I've always loved doing commentary. That's a lot of fun for me. He's like, yeah, well, I don't know when we're going to have commentary, but we'll get that moving. So October rolls around. We do our show. No live commentary, so I just kind of help out backstage and everything. We had a decent...
So were they recording the shows in any way?
Yeah. Oh no, we're still recording.
Yeah,
Everything
okay.
got
YouTube live
recorded.
stream and stuff?
Yeah,
Or-
we ended up doing the first 3 shows without live commentary, and then we actually did it in post.
Okay.
And then we
Oh.
put them out there, and then by the 4th show that February, we were doing it live. But
Which do you
It was
prefer?
already called 3 Legacies at that point?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's always been 3 Legacies Wrestling.
Okay.
What do I prefer? 100% live.
Yeah.
I
You get
like
the raw
doing the stuff
emotion,
with
right?
one take. Exactly.
Yeah.
I like doing stuff in one take. I don't want to have to edit myself later, and that's actually why I
You
kind
and
of
Joe
like
would really get
Yeah.
along.
editing sucks, man. It sucks.
It does. It's
That's why we
terrible.
do it this way.
It's fun, but it's work and it's time consuming.
Yeah.
I like doing it, but if I can just nail it in one shot, that's the coolest thing, which is why I like podcasting.
Yeah.
Very little editing in podcasting. I'll edit out my pauses and things like that, and obviously I'll balance the audio, but man, just let me loose, let me do my thing, let me talk, and then if I really have to edit something, I'll say, I'll just be like, all right, this is an edit, and I'll go back in and I'll fix it.
Yep.
But I try to avoid those as much as possible. Like right here, right now, I don't want you to edit any of this. Like, even if I'm stumbling over my words, let's
That's
just
what long
go.
form
Let's just
content's
go.
for,
Exactly.
you know? It's not like
I
I was
TikTok
going to say,
where
you
we keep
obviously
everybody's
haven't watched the
attention.
previous ones, because when we brought his father-in-law on,
Future
he stumbled over lots of words.
Aw,
Future.
that's so cute.
The whole family's been
Noah's
on.
getting married.
The whole family's been on. He's ran out of people. Within
No, not the whole
20
family.
Oh, we
Mama
still need
Bear will
Carol.
not come
Yeah, we
on.
still need Carol.
Did you have your uncle on yet?
No, I feel like he would
What's
actually
this?
have some good content. I think Justin would probably have some good content.
Justin would be fun. Hi, Justin.
Yeah.
We're coming for you. Make it past 5 seconds into the video. Watch time.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll
been
make
trying,
a short out of that.
It's
we'll make
not
sure
meant to be a
watch
wrestling podcast, but we just got in with that group, and I have just so many questions, so I've been trying to get so many people, and
Yeah.
I keep bringing it up on the podcast because I have so many questions about it that I want to
Well,
get somebody.
and I keep
But if you look
dragging
at
his
YouTube-
show.
Questions about
yeah, and
wrestling.
he keeps dragging me to shows.
If you look at all the videos that have been uploaded, it's kind of been the past few have been trilogies.
Yeah.
It's been like me, Mike, Gabby. Now it's going to be Chris, hopefully Ace, and then my reaction to the first SWO.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
So
you had never seen wrestling at all.
I don't know if I told you, I've never watched WWE, any of that, and then going to SWO was my first exposure to it. And on the last podcast, I said I thought it was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like-
So I say this a lot too. If you've never experienced wrestling live, you should at least once, especially on a small independent scene, which it's much more intimate.
Oh, yeah.
A lot easier to interact with the wrestlers
Right.
directly. And
I'm on the second row, and I'm right
yeah,
there. You know,
people come out of them, they're like, "That was cool. I wanna check another one of
I had
those
whipped
out."
cream coming right at me. You know, like,
Oh, yeah, you had Stan Styles on the show.
so that was
That's right.
interesting. That
That-
cream.
that was an experience.
Head of the
Yeah.
dessert table, yeah. That's his. Yeah, I've called a few of his matches. How many pairs of pants did he wear? 4. Yeah. Okay.
He had 3 pairs, and then he had his.
And
then he had his trunks
did,
on.
Yeah, he did not. I'm sorry. It was just
Dude,
so
wrestling
funny.
wrestling is so much fun on the independents, man.
Well,
It's-
and he
it's-
walked
it's an
around,
absolute
I feel like
blast.
he
and
just
no
had a lot
one's
of
just
freedom.
like, Dairy Daddy? What?
Because he was new to SWO, right?
Yeah, he
he's
wasn't-
never done.
He
anything
wasn't the ones that we had seen there previously, but he's probably been there prior, because I know a lot of the guys do go around.
He's going around spraying
Yeah.
whipped cream in kids' mouths and saying "cream me," like it was
the kids
interesting.
had no idea. They thought it was
no,
amazing.
it was great. That was I
That's
thought it
what
was
makes
funny.
it so brilliant. It's a
Yeah.
double entendre. The kids just think whipped cream, and they're like,
We're gonna
"Oh,
laugh out of it."
That's funny because it's whipped cream." But the adults are like, "Oh God."
And then when he took off that last layer of clothing and it's just a Speedo saying
the
"King
people
of
pop
Cream"
for that.
on it.
Yeah.
People pop hard for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got up and clapped for him. It's like, hell yeah!
Yeah, he's a good dude. I love Stan, and I'll talk a lot about all the guys that I've worked with that I absolutely love working with. But if you wanna dive into the wrestling questions,
Well, I'd say like some of the people that watch this are not wrestling fans, I guess. Just
Yeah, not
probably
a
not
lot.
that they dislike it; they just don't know it. So, from an outsider's perspective, what originally got you into wrestling? Were you really young, or how did you originally?
Yeah.
Before you, I know you wanted to start the scene in Lancaster,
Sure.
but maybe before that.
So, when you guys were all kids, were you friends with the other neighborhood kids? Because your parents they were like, "Oh, that kid's your age. You're now his friend."
Yeah.
So three
still
doors
have
down.
friends, but-
3 doors down was a guy named Anthony Holly. I hope he's doing well because I probably haven't talked to him since he moved out of my hometown.
The algorithm will get him.
Yeah.
Be watching us.
Hey, hope you're doing well, bud.
He's subscriber number 78.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So I grew up in a very small town in New Jersey, very rural country town, ski town, Vernon, New Jersey.
Okay.
Apparently, it's now the safest town in New Jersey. So
I mean, that's
good for us.
That's saying a lot for Jersey.
Yeah. Jersey. Yes.
Joe works there.
I was gonna say that's where I do most of my weddings, so
Yeah, yeah.
pretty
So you
familiar.
know.
Yeah.
And my
But,
family's
yeah.
from Long Island, so I go probably not through there, but I go through New Jersey. I'm like, yeah.
Long Island is so funny to me because it's the ultimate off balance.
It really is.
Because it's like that's the richest house I've ever seen. Ooh, I'm not going there.
So right there across the street from each other too. Like
Yes, exactly.
$2 million house next to a
It's like
$300,000 house.
going
yeah.
to 103rd Street in Manhattan, where it's like rich white folks on one side of the street and Harlem's on the other side. And you're like, ooh, this is interesting.
The boroughs have no shame
Yeah.
in having every walk of life in them. So
But I grew,
So Vernon, you
grew up
said?
in a small rural town, so I was friends with a kid down the street. He had a birthday party. So at his birthday party, he goes, guys, I want to show you this really cool thing that I found. And it wasn't live or anything because it was during the day, but it was WrestleMania 3,
Nice.
which the main event was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. At the time, the biggest marquee match in pro wrestling history, at least on a mainstream level at that point. And he goes, this is the coolest thing ever. So he pops in the VCR. I'm old, folks. Okay. So he pops the VCR in. We all gather around the TV, and I watched Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant.
wow.
And I'm
I've
like,
seen
that
those
was
too.
cool.
That's crazy.
Like that was cool. So it was one of those things, I didn't really grow up with it too hard. My friends were more into it than I was, so I'd watch wrestling with my friends, but I wasn't really like a big follower or anything. Until a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin showed up and
Yep.
started raising hell and kicking ass.
That was
Never
the
seen
attitude
any of his
era.
shows, but I've seen him act and like he's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
scary guy.
So that was like the ultimate hook, and then from then on, I was just really into it. So
Was he your era John Cena, would you say?
That would have
for
been right
people that
after our era, probably.
yeah. So for the Attitude Era, that was like Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, The Undertaker.
Oh, so The
Kane,
Rock was in that
Mick
same era.
Foley.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all the same basic
Okay.
era of guys.
It'd have been like 90s to like early 2000s.
So
Yeah.
Stone Cold went into the 2000s. I don't know why I think Stone Cold was like way before that. But
So Stone Cold was about 96 is when he blew up with the Austin 316 promo.
That was when
really
John,
got noticed.
Jake
He-
the Snake.
Yeah, won the title in 98, and then he ended up officially retiring in 2003 for neck injury. But he did have a match a couple years ago,
oh, okay.
and he main evented WrestleMania in Dallas,
Oh, wow.
and looked good doing it. So,
Yeah.
but
Sorry
So-
to cut you off. I didn't.
dude, it's a podcast. You think this is my first one? Podcasts never follow the format.
You popped in your
Yeah.
VHS tape. That was exactly how I started.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's old. I'm like he's like 3 years
My
old.
grandfather
Like,
had
yeah,
you know,
I think we had
I
the
Betamax. I'm like, come on.
discussion before how
Laser
old we-
disc.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, bust out the laser disc.
We go to the
Disc,
one
yeah.
house on the neighborhood that has a laser disc player. It's like,
We weren't quite-
we're a VHS family.
I think I knew one person who had a laser disc, and I remember like it looked like a vinyl record collection because that's how big they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, those are laser discs." Like, what the hell is a laser disc? He goes, because obviously by this point we're in the DVD era. He goes, "Well, it's like a bigger version of a DVD." I said, "Is it better quality?" No.
It's worse.
Then why the hell do you have it?
It's analog. It's analog.
I know why, because I'm a tech guy, but still,
Yeah.
it was.
That's hilarious.
I'm from New Jersey. I got to bust some balls every now and then. Right?
I love the
Yeah.
Italian. Yeah.
So wrestling questions, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was one of the first questions that you kind of come up with too, us as well. Is like, you know, I understand maybe on like a WWE level, like those guys are doing it. They're a different level of like
yeah.
NFL versus college
They're
or
doing it for
something
the
like
money
that.
at that
That's
point.
a good way to
Yeah.
describe it. I always use the baseball comparison. Like if you go watch the York Revolution right now,
Yeah.
those are kind of like what our guys are doing in Three Legacies Wrestling. It's an independent,
So
it's
like
a
the
smaller
Barnstormers,
thing.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Or whatever they're called,
Barnstormers,
Stormers, whatever.
Stormers. I like Barnstormers.
I don't know why they got rid of that.
They change everything. Why'd they change it from Clipper Magazine to Penn Medicine? Who knows?
Penn Medicine gave more money.
Yeah. That's the reason for that one.
Sorry, John Herman. CEO
Yeah,
of
well.
Penn Medicine or LGH. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have that one memorized.
He worked.
I worked for them for a couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, he's right. So.
Yeah.
But
But I guess my question where it was leading to there was like, how do they practice, right? Like, because those techniques, they
got
they're
9 to
not
5s.
really, it's
Yeah.
different. Our discussion last time was compared it to like UCF kind of thing, where it's like, well, those guys, but it's a different level of entertainment for sure.
Sure.
Like, how do they safely practice? Do they have to set time aside for that? I mean, how much time is there for that? Is it just that
Yeah.
you grow up with that? Like, how do you come up with that
Know
technique
how to
and
body slam someone.
yeah, like, I practiced for 3 days. 3 days, I'm good to go. You know,
Joe,
Like,
let me see if I can do it.
yeah, right. Like, we've all done that. We've seen that YouTube video, and that guy usually doesn't get up, right? So,
So, the good wrestlers, the successful ones that you see performing on a high level, go to reputable schools.
Okay.
So they will research a training facility ran by somebody who Dr. Tom Pritchard or Brutal Bob Evans, or guys that are just good trainers. Because some guys are just excellent trainers. Whether it was Les Thatcher back in the day. I know Rip Rogers had a great school. Ricardo's turning out students, amazing students. You know, you research, you find a good school, and then you go and you learn the technique. Now, obviously, every school is going to teach their own way of getting you to that point. But the basic curriculum is first we're going to weed out the pretenders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always the first thing you do. Kind of like boot camp, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you through drills and make sure you can handle this.
You're not just doing it because you want to, or
Sure.
you're saying you want to do it.
Now, you mentioned body slamming people, right? Obviously, you need strength for that. But what's more important is cardio. Because
endurance.
you might be strong enough to lift somebody up and slam them, but do you have the endurance to do that 5, 6, 7 times in a match without hurting them? And that's something that a lot of people... I've seen guys come in jacked to the gills who are throwing up in the corner after doing something. And I've seen guys, my size, I'm not a big guy, just like they look like ping pong balls running left and right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, I could do this all day, like Captain America.
The guy that did like 5 rounds around the ring, outside of the ring.
Yeah.
He did it. He sprinted around the ring like 5 times, high-fiving people before he even went in the ring. And he wasn't even like pantsing. He wasn't breathing or anything.
Some guys can do that. And that's honestly the most important thing. And if you can handle that, then we'll start teaching you the basics. And it's all about... It's not so much doing the moves as it is doing them safely. Mm-hmm. Because somebody's putting their safety, their life in your hands. You have to be able to work with that. And if you can't, then you're probably not going to last very long. So that's probably the best way to do it. But most beginners classes start with teaching you the basic fundamentals. Here's how a match is structured. So we're going to explain. And I'm not peeling back any curtain here, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, the curtain's been pulled back for a long time. But
well, to have someone like you to explain it to us, I mean, I have no idea what any of this
sure.
is. So it's like,
But
and just as being a natural adult, I have these questions.
Oh,
you know?
of course.
Like I explained it last time. Like, I don't think Tom Cruise actually saved all those people in Mission Impossible.
I think he thinks he did.
I agree with that.
I'm sure in his mind, he's an American hero. So
Scientologist.
All those
he's a unique character. I'll give him that.
So adults are watching these shows,
Yeah.
and I think we just have natural questions that we're just naturally interested.
No, but these are good questions to have.
For the school thing, is it kind of similar to like high schoolers trying to get sought out by D1 schools to like, to go for like football or whatever?
There are scouts who will come to shows and look for talent.
That's cool.
But really, in this day and age, the best thing to do is to just put yourself out on the internet.
Yeah.
Make some highlight reels about all the coolest stuff you can do. And I'll give a little advice to the young wrestlers out there right now. This is coming from an old cranky veteran whose back hurts. So, and I don't even bump anymore and my back hurts. Talent's going to take you part of the way. Attitude's going to take you all the way.
Yeah.
And part of wrestling training isn't just how to do moves, how to put a match together, how to cut a promo, how to build a character. It's also, all right, we're going to have a show. Are you going to be there on time? Mm-hmm. Are you going to help out with setup and breakdown? Are you going to do the match that we tell you to do? Because there's a lot of guys who, and gals too, who have it in their mind. There's an acronym. It's called, I'm going to mess up the acronym if I say it, but it's Get Your Shit In. GYSI. And I've seen people talk about that. well, I can do this really cool move, so I have to find a place in the match to do it. And I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this. That's cool, but you're also performing. You're telling a story. Why are you doing these moves? And that's the psychology of wrestling that you can't just learn in a backyard on a trampoline, okay? So knock it off.
Get out of there, little Timmy. But it's so hard. It's not hard. It's so interesting because I'm pulling so many parallels from baseball or any sport that I watch, but also from entertainment and from theater and stuff, because you have that
You're not
entertainment
wrong,
factor. But like,
you're not wrong.
But like baseball, the guys that, even if they're a 200 hitter and they're not hitting home runs, but if I see them busting out of the box to try and get to first base, even when it's a simple ground out, those are the guys that even if they're not great, they're going to make it because they had that determination.
Well, because you're good at something, right?
Yeah.
And again, this go back to wrestling. Some guys are power guys. Some are technicians. Some are high flyers. Some are brawlers. You find the style that works for you, and you turn that into a character. Some people are better characters than they are actual wrestlers, and some wrestlers aren't really good characters. The best ones are the ones that can mesh.
Have both.
But when you have a good promoter and a good booker and a good crew by your side, you can hide the weaknesses of anybody. So if I go out there and I'm like, all right, so tonight I'm going to put Joe up against Kevin. Now, Joe's got really good character. He needs a little more work in the ring. Kevin's a really good worker. His character is a little So I'm going to structure a match around that. I'm going to showcase one character, and I'm going to have the other guy handle the bulk of the actual match. We can build something off of that. And in the process, you guys can learn off each other, and that's all how we grow. It's a big team effort, and we talk a lot about egos and attitudes in wrestling, and you've probably heard horror stories, especially if you're a longtime fan, of the territory days, and especially in like WCW era. But
I was surprised when we first started talking that kayfabe was broken as big as it is now.
Yes. And I do believe there should be some aspect of it that still is happening, and that's part of my philosophy of wrestling.
Yeah.
I understand that, like, it's unrealistic for me to expect you to be this character 24/7 and in public, especially if you're a heel. I don't want you at the grocery store screaming at people. Like, it's just going to cause a problem.
Yeah, you don't need that.
What's up, Miami?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, watermelon! Exactly. But
Can we have him slide in a little bit? I don't want him falling off the edge or no.
Has he
a little bit.
Has he been out of the
There
frame
we
the
go.
whole
Now
time?
we got him back in. There we go. Go ahead.
But out of the frame the whole time?
No.
Okay.
We're good.
I was probably getting there, though.
All right, restart. Sorry, Doug.
Can you say all of that again? No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
In exactly the way that you just said it.
No, Doug.
But yeah, the break of kayfabe is where we were. Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. But there's still subtle ways you can do it. During an intermission on a show, if you two are in a blood feud, go sign your autographs on that side of the ring. Go sign your autographs on that side of the ring, and just stay out of each other's way.
So you don't even have to worry about it at that point.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a hard request for people to do. And I just wish that more young talents would at least do that part. Don't have this match and then be congratulating each other in front of the audience. Do that behind the scenes.
Because that breaks the whole facade of it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And everybody now knows wrestling is a work, but people still want to go and suspend their disbelief and lose themselves in the moment. And that's the performance that's happening.
And I felt that at SWO. And I didn't know what to expect going into it. And when the first few things were just kind of like throwing punches, and I knew it was like, choreographed and everything. And I'm like, oh, they're not even hitting each other. And I said this to everybody. I said it on the podcast last week, but that first body slam, and it's like, I'm in. That was it. Yeah. I'm immersed, and I'm just watching it. These guys are looking at me, and all I'm doing is...
We're just watching.
Yeah, we'd missed that whole first match because we were just staring at Noah.
I'm like, recording it. I'll see you later.
But you're right. It's like all about how much they can immerse you, and you could tell with some of the guys, I'm not going to name any names. I don't even remember some of the names, but like... Some of the guys might not have had full force, they're really into it themselves, but some of the guys were like, they believed they were that character for that frame of time.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned throwing a punch. There's an art to it. And actually, throwing a punch in wrestling is surprisingly difficult to do, to throw a working punch, There was an old famous story, and I don't remember which wrestler said this because it was an old timey story. But they're like, "Hey, can you stop with the working punches and just start hitting me for real?" Why? Because your working punches are killing me. Wow. Oh, okay. And there is an art. Well, there's an art to everything.
Sure.
And throwing a punch is really hard. That's why Shane McMahon throws forearms. They look like shit, but he can't throw a punch, so he does. He does what he's got to do.
This stuff is harder than actually trying to fight somebody. Like you are, like you said earlier about safety. I saw parts last week. There was guys' knees that I felt were inches away from other guys' necks when they were trying to jump down on them.
The most you could kill someone. The most professional wrestlers in the world will jump off the top rope while you're laying there. You won't feel a thing.
That's insane.
You won't feel a thing,
but it'll look
like you're dead.
That's incredible.
And those are the guys that elevate.
And that's what got me so immersed. Like
yeah,
when there was guys in that ring last week that got that feeling from me, I'm like, wow. I want to watch more of this.
All go see live wrestling.
I said at the beginning of last week that I had no intention of actually enjoying it. I did it because Kenny bought my ticket.
Yeah,
and that's how I
got it. And now you want to go see more. See?
I am going to go to at least the September one for 3 Legacies.
Bring your uncle before I have to drag his ass out of the house.
He told me over text. He said if it's going to be anything, it's going to be that September one. So
yeah. Well, that's what I was like. Yeah. We were trying to get the wrestlers on, and I was like, "Oh, well, we named the complaint. It was named the complaint department as the show." And I'm like, "Oh, they probably think I just want to complain about wrestling."
Call it complaint, but have we complained once yet?
Not yet about this. No.
It started with that because we do complain about.
I got complaints about wrestling.
We get into that. Wrestling. It's usually about other people in the crowd that are doing things they shouldn't.
These guys are so talented, and then there's just like the next 45 minutes just complaining about how talented they are.
Yeah, but yeah, like, I mean, going back to what you said about the school and everything. That's why we always encourage people to really find a reputable school and really, really hone their craft. And a lot of wrestlers, what they do is they just figure out how much it's going to cost for the duration and pay it up front. That way they don't have to worry about payment installments and, well, now I can just drop out whenever I want. And I've heard that from a lot of people. They're like, I paid up front because I knew I was in it for the long haul. And I mean, I've seen people come. I've been doing this 20 years. I've seen people come and go. I've worked for entire companies that I don't even remember, that don't exist anymore. And I've seen lots of people come in, try, never see them again.
Do you feel like you could read them like a book? Like when they come in, it's like, you have what it takes, you don't have what it takes?
For the most part, some people will surprise you. You'll see some people come in, you're like, there's no way this little dude is gonna.
But they have the grit and determination to make
you can't fake heart. You can't fake heart. You can't fake passion.
Yep.
And once you'll see that come out, the longer people are doing it for. And there have been a couple of people in 3 Legacies who have dropped out of training simply because their heart wasn't in it. And one of the girls actually said this to me. She's like, it's not right for me to keep going. I'm just going to get in everybody's way. And I'm like, that's actually one of the most mature things I've ever heard. I said, a lot of respect there, and leave that door open. So if you do want to try again, you can come back and you'd be welcome with open arms.
That's awesome.
And
it's like giving a 2-week notice at work, like it's that courtesy.
Yeah.
But knowing that your whole heart isn't in it. Like,
yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I guess I didn't know at all about the school thing. So that's very interesting.
Honestly, I had no idea how they learned the stuff.
And then I
was born with it.
Yeah, I have a martial arts school that I'm a partner in. I don't do the teaching, but I'm just a partner in it. So it was kind of sounded very similar to that I wasn't even aware of that. So I guess maybe there's like levels and things like that. They would do.
Some
but
schools
the commitment there that they make to that, I didn't know if it was just like a practice on a Saturday, like a fun football game, but it's not at all that. It's a curriculum that they're taking.
Night,
that they're taking, that they're showing their art then every week, the things that they practiced and things like that.
The school I learned at, we met every Wednesday. That was it. Every Wednesday night. We'd go to the school, we would just learn, and then, all right, see you next Wednesday. And then we'd have our shows when they would come about, and that's your on-the-job training.
So did you go?
How long are the classes? Are they like an hour? Like
it all depends. My school was pretty much, we showed up, we did it until everybody got tired and decided to leave.
So were you on the course to become a wrestler? Is that what you were trying to do?
No, I actually originally went in to be a manager.
Okay.
And I ended up falling into the announcer gig completely by accident. So
that was one of the questions I have for you, like, because you said 3 Legacies. I didn't know they were only around since 2022.
Yeah,
I just assumed you spent your whole 20 years with them, but you're saying there's all sorts of.
I would do anything to spend all 20 years with them. But now I work for. So, I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
You guys want to know actually how I fell into this?
That's what I was. Yeah.
Okay, so back in college, I talked about earlier that I went to broadcasting school. I may say that off the air, so if you guys are just like, well, you never said that. Sorry. Sorry. Originally, I was kind of looking at journalism, and I kind of didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in. And since this is called the complaint department, I'll complain about something.
That's exactly
Gen Eds in college is the biggest scam ever.
It's a waste of time.
I've already done my math and my English and my history.
It's 10th grade math.
Yeah,
I don't need to do an algebra
You
class
had to
again.
pay.
Yeah.
I took the test.
That's the biggest scam ever.
You clap out of it or
I
whatever.
was miserable my first year in college. I wasn't having any fun. And then I used to watch WWE pay-per-views with two friends of mine. We'd go to his girlfriend's house. She lived right down the road from me. Nice. We'd all watch together. And they're like, well, if you're not happy with what you're doing, we're going to start broadcasting classes next semester. Why don't you join us? Okay, that sounds cool. So first day of class, the three of us walk in, and it's one of those classrooms that's just got a couple of rows of computers. Mm-hmm. So we all sit in the back row. There's 4 computers, 3 of us. Another dude sits down with us. Professor goes up to the front of the class. He's like, broadcasting, these are very small departments. There's only like 20 of us. Let's all go around the room and introduce ourselves. He goes, we'll start at the back of the room. So the guy sitting with my friends goes, hi, my name's John, and I'm a professional wrestler. And we all do the...
Who are you?
We all do the... Because here's like these three marks sitting in the back row. We're like, huh? like that freaking huh cat. Huh? He's like, yeah. And his name's John Salinas. He wrestled as Johnny Toxic. He's a DJ now. I'll give him a quick shout out. DJ JT in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, that Northeast PA area. So
okay.
Book him for your next gig, folks. He's good. I promise.
Joe will forget to put the link in the description. So
I'll try.
Just look up his name.
But
I can give some wedding gigs.
I mean, that'd
be better.
he does everything. He does weddings, parties. He does.
Yeah.
So obviously we become friends. So we're asking him, and he's telling us about his training in New Jersey and how New Jersey's not as regulated as Pennsylvania is. So he was like wrestling when he was 14.
Oh, wow.
So even though he's a college kid like we are, he's already got years of experience and everything. So as the semester's going on, obviously we're working on projects together. And I'm like, man, it would be so cool. Like I've always wanted to, I think it would be so much fun to get into it. It'd be so cool if I could be a manager or something, because I'm not athletic enough to be a wrestler, but I'd love to be involved. He goes, I think you'd make a good manager. Why don't you come to the school with me someday? I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
giddy,
now I'm all giddy. Like,
I'm not going to sleep till then.
I'll go to the school. Like,
excuse my inexperience, but I don't know what a manager does.
Oh, we'll get into that. Don't worry. Okay. I'll explain.
Oh, okay.
So one night, it was a Wednesday in December, because we were like right at the end of the semester.
Okay.
So we meet up. He drives me up, and the school was located in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Now, everybody who's watching this who knows that area, I know you're laughing your asses off right now. Yes, it was in a garage in a shithole part of town. You are 100% correct. But that's where some of the best schools honestly are.
Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they started their companies in garages.
Exactly.
So you never know.
So the guy who ran the school was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Glitter. In the 1980s, he worked for the WWF. He was mainly a B-show guy. He was a manager. To explain what a manager is, if you're unfamiliar, so if you're coming out to the ring as the wrestler and there's a guy coming with you as like your extra, that's your manager. He's there to kind of cheer you on or help you win. Wink, wink.
So like
carry your belt or
carry your belt for you. Yeah.
So like the guy in boxing when Tyson like in between rounds is massaging him and like, you got this guy. You gotta
you guys have ever
do more
seen,
uppercuts.
The older school Undertaker when he had Paul Bearer come out with him and used to carry the urn.
Paul Bearer was the manager.
That was
the guy with the look. Yeah, quite a look
the white
to him.
face.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Heenan, Jim Cornette, Jimmy Hart, like those are like the top managers. Paul Heyman's probably the top manager today.
Okay.
Managers have kind of gone by the wayside. They're slowly making a comeback, and I think there should be more of them.
There was a few in SWO, I felt like.
SWO's got a couple. Managers are good for wrestlers who aren't very good on the talking aspect,
You do
they
it
can
for
talk
them.
for you.
Gotcha.
And I'm a talker. That's why I'm here, guys. So
We got 4 managers maybe
Yeah.
sitting here that
But,
just talking. Yeah.
but Glitter was big on the 80s B shows. He did announcer work. He did manager work. He did wrestle a little bit here and there, but he wasn't working for Vince McMahon to do that. So he was doing the back then they would do like the A show tour, which would be Hulk Hogan and the championship belt, and they'd run the big buildings. Mm-hmm. And then the B show crew would run the smaller towns. They'd be running Allentown. They'd be running the Zembo Shrine in Harrisburg, like where our next show is for 3LW.
Nice.
So, in fact, the WWF, Vince's father, ran the Zembo Shrine. So it's got some history there. Really excited to work this venue. Oh, I'm so excited.
That's the one next Saturday on the
May 31st. Yes.
When this podcast
comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
there we
you've already been there.
We're going to release the podcast earlier, I think. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah. So so he did announcer work. He got to work with the Road Warriors and Owen Hart and all these big names from back in the 80s. And Glitter, it was so funny to meet him because he's got the Hulk Hogan skullet. So he's got nothing up top and he's got all the blonde in the back. And the first time I met him, he had dreadlocks.
Oh, that's
wow.
And it made no sense. And he kind of talks like one of those old school guys would talk there, okay? So he'd be like, okay there, Joe, Kevin, and Noah, we're going to do a podcast here. Like, very, very, he over-enunciated.
Yeah.
But he was a genius with wrestling angles. He could just look at a guy and just come up with a character and come up with a place to put them and everything. Now, if I hand him a cell phone, he's not going to know what the hell to do with it. But
he's an expert in wrestling.
Oh yeah,
in his field.
In his field, yeah. So I met him. I met Justin Glory, who was the lead trainer there, kind of like the wrestler trainer, because Glitter couldn't get in the ring and do all that stuff anymore. So this was his top student, his top trainee, his top prospect.
Nice.
So he became the student trainer, and he kind of ran the school. And I met some of the guys who I'd become very good friends with. Matt Turner, who now does the Stardom podcast.
Okay.
They actually did manage to beat out Undertaker, Eric Bischoff, and other podcasts. At one point, they were number 2 in the world for wrestling podcasts, only behind Chris Van Vliet.
Wow.
And so shout out to them. They're doing awesome right now.
We'll be there soon.
Yeah.
Watch out! Yeah. Soon we'll go from the basement to upstairs.
That's right. See you at the top of the chart, boys. There we go.
Moving up.
Moving on up. No glass ceiling here.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon will be on the podcast before the end of the year.
Yeah, sorry, Joe Rogan was booked. Yeah, we couldn't,
So, Glitter and I chatted and everything, and I'm like, man, I'd love to get involved. I really don't have like the money to do this. And he goes, well, that's okay. He goes, come on by, observe and everything, and we'll see what we can do with you down the line. So this is December. Mm-hmm. So I'm coming to every training session, January, February, March rolls around, and he pulls me aside. He said, I can tell you want to do this. He goes, we need a backstage correspondent. Is that something you'd be interested in? I was like, sure. I never really thought about that as a possible path, but I'll do that. Okay. So we had a show coming up in April. So we go through the whole card. Here's all the people that are going to be on. You're going to have 4 interview segments. Here's who you're going to interview. One of the guys I was going to interview was wrestling under the name Dorian DeVille. He was on his way to Ohio Valley Wrestling, which was WWE's feeder system at the time.
Okay.
And he later became Luke Gallows, who became pretty well known in
their minor leagues is what.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was kind of like, it was a promotion, but it was a school too. So they would run shows in the Louisville area and around that kind of, like they'd run Ohio and Indiana and everything. Okay. Because even though these are students in training, you have to perform in front of people. You're never going to be good enough to work in WWE. Right. Yeah. You got to learn. There's only so much we can teach you in the school, but we need a live audience there because to work with that ebb and flow of the match. Because if what you're doing ain't working, you got to fix it. You got to learn to change. You got to change on the fly. Exactly. Some of the best wrestlers don't plan their matches all the way through. Macho Man Randy Savage was infamous for it. He had every move down in like a notebook. All right, brother, so here's what we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna start up with the lockup here, and then I'm gonna go to this corner. It's like, God damn, dude, I gotta memorize all this.
Every little step, yeah.
And then I
did wonder that. That was one of my questions, how choreographed it was. But I guess it's up to the two doing it.
It depends on the talents involved, and it depends on the level of comfort that they have. I won't get into the whole Chris Benoit incident here. That's for another show. But he was very much a guy who liked to, okay, what's the finish and how are we going to get there? Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the rest. That's how he liked to wrestle.
So as it just had to get to that end point.
Yeah.
And everything else was just on the fly.
We can kind of break that down a little bit too when I'll finish telling my story. And
Sure,
then if you want to hear like an actual breakdown, we can do that.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Finish your story, then I want to cut for a bathroom break real quick.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, Tiny Black.
No,
Or did you have Indian food or something?
no. Chipotle
He wants to
and
try the bidet.
Yeah, say no more. Yeah. I'll be fine with it. We'll pause for station identification so Noah can relieve himself. That's fine. But yeah, so we have the show coming up, and he was gonna. So that was gonna be like he's on his way to OVW, and we had a female talent on the show. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but I know she was a big deal at the time. She may have gone on to bigger things. I just, 20-year brain, guys. Give me a break. So
I was learning to walk 20 years ago.
Yeah. Freaking did I take my ibuprofen yet from the back? Anyway, so we do all this prep work and everything, and then a week out, show gets canceled. I'm like, that's unfortunate, but it's wrestling, so this is what's going to be. He goes, these things happen. We're going to move on to our May show. All right, so May 14th, we got a show, Matamoros, Pennsylvania, which is literally the border of New York and New Jersey, because Montague, New Jersey, and Port Jervis, New York are the two border towns.
Oh, wow.
It's literally the corner of the three states.
That's awesome.
But it's only about 30 minutes from my parents' house. I'm still living at home at the time. I'm a 20-year-old college kid.
Perfect for you.
So I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's closer to home and everything. My parents are going to be able to come to the show. This is going to be cool. The Wednesday, this is a Saturday, by the way. The Wednesday at training, he comes up to me and he goes, so our ring announcer dropped out. We need a ring announcer for the show, so you're getting a bump up. So I'm like, okay, so now I've got 3 hours.
So you're training for all that other interviewing stuff, and it's just like,
now I'm going to be a ring
do
announcer.
this.
And that's a different form of training.
Awesome.
But I got a crash course in it. And then the Saturday show hits May 14th, 2005, Matamoros Firehouse. History is made, folks. And
Can we find that on YouTube somewhere?
I've got pictures and everything. Actually, I have it on like a DVD that we burned.
Nice.
It's probably buried in a box somewhere, but I could probably dig that up.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of that old footage because we're going back to some shows never got
lost
recorded.
media. That's lost media.
Some
stuff,
shows never got recorded in general.
But that's how some of the best things happen, right? It's just you get thrown into it, and all of a sudden you're doing it, and you love it, right?
There's stories of old-timey wrestlers. Jim Londos, one of the biggest pro wrestling attractions of all time, but his prominent time was the 1920s and 1930s.
Oh, wow.
He just wasn't getting recorded. And I don't know where George Hackenschmidt, the turn of the century guy, like how he became a YouTube star. I don't know when the hell that happened, but I'm really happy people are discovering like these turn of the century legends that really helped put wrestling on the map. So
05, huh?
Yeah, so 05, yeah. You're still in
I
diapers.
graduated high school.
Yeah.
That's cool though. So they pretty much just threw you in it, and you love. I'm assuming you did pretty well the first time, or
I learned very quickly that I'm a very sink or swim type of person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to blow it or it's going to be awesome. And this is why I like doing stuff in one take, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
This is why I like podcast formats and things like this. And this is why I like live commentary.
Yeah.
If I mess up, it happens. But we're just going to move on from it, okay?
Yeah.
And I mess up. Everybody does. I've said wrong names on commentary. I've said the wrong move and everything. I laugh about it. I correct myself and I move on. And that's what you got to do. And it's all practice and getting your reps in. So in front of like 60, 70 screaming Chris O'Mealy maniacs, I got to debut as the ring announcer. And it was just a really, really fun time.
that's awesome.
And I've forgotten entire companies I've worked for, but I remember everything about that night.
That's amazing.
I still remember. And I'll just because it's a fun little trivia thing. First match out the gate was Joseph Brooks versus Little Billy Johnson. Little Billy came out to an Andrew WK song, and Joseph Brooks came out to a Hoobastank song, which I just got a kick out of that. But yeah, if we want to pause for station identification, so Tiny Boy Bladder over here can
that is so cute.
unleash himself. But
I drank like
On
6
your
cups
way,
of
hit-
I was
coffee.
gonna say it's
Yeah,
been like 5 minutes.
So bladder's
Anyways.
empty. Let's restart.
After Noah so rudely interrupted, Chris is going to explain to us
ripping Joe.
how a wrestling match is broken down, because I think we all had that curiosity. It sounded a little different depending on the wrestlers, but it does sound like there might be a format to it.
Maybe like how
So-
one of your normal shows goes.
okay, so we'll kind of step behind the curtain a little bit here. So, and again, this all goes with professionalism, with the actual talents involved. But I did run a show for a little while. We started a promotion called Garden State Wrestling, because it started in New Jersey, evolved into Grand Slam Wrestling. John Salinas involved with that as well as my buddy Chris Decker. Shout out to those guys. No longer around. The last show we did was actually February 29th. It was a Leap Day show, 2020.
That makes sense.
Wow.
So, in case you guys, for those of you whose memories got erased during that time, a little something happened a few weeks later that very negatively affected the independent wrestling scene, unfortunately.
Yeah.
My 18th
But-
birthday was the day everything closed down, so I get
Oh,
it.
so it's your fault.
Yeah, it is.
Actually,
Stupid St. Patrick's Day birthday.
I started a gym January 2020, so right there with you, buddy.
There you go.
Yeah, that's why this podcast is in a basement.
that's right.
It's not with Joe Rogan's curtain.
But yeah, Grand Slam Wrestling, ton of fun. But so when we're putting a show together, the most important thing is to know who's going to be on the show, and you kind of just come up with a plan based on who's available. So here's my list of wrestlers. Start matching them up, who I want to see wrestle each other, and then are we running any angles? So that's going to factor into the decisions of, okay, so these two guys are in a hot feud against each other, but this guy's also feuding with this guy. So now how's that going to play into this? And there's all pieces of the puzzle there. But if you just want like a really easy basic rundown, okay, so I've got two wrestlers. Let's call them Justin and Jason. Just so that'll pop you a little bit. So let's say
awesome.
I'm putting Justin up against Jason. Okay. I'm going to have Justin's going to be my babyface, my good guy. Jason's going to be my heel. He's going to be my bad guy. Now, I want Justin to win the match, but Justin is actually smaller than Jason. So I'm going to say, okay, so you guys are going to wrestle. You're going to have 8 to 10 minutes or so, 12 including your entrances. Justin's going to win the match. I want it to be a decisive win, so you guys figure out the rest.
Okay.
Now, all independent shows are different, and this is all based on, of course, budget and availability. In a big corporate environment like the WWE, they have agents. They hire people to help put the match together.
Are they getting like an actual script delivered to them? Is John Cena getting a script at his door so he knows
they
exactly?
do.
Okay.
I was
But-
gonna say it feels like that because I used to watch like the leaks before the pay-per-views would come out and they would read it.
Some guys and gals
Okay.
like the script because it helps them along. Some of them hate it because they'd rather go off the cuff. I'm not a script person. Give me notes and I'll make something out of that. As an announcer, don't tell me exactly what to say, but tell me what you want me to put over in the match, what kind of story we're telling here, what their history is, and I'll run with that. I work better off of that. Now, if you don't give me any notes and you want me to just make stuff up, I can do that too. So that's when I'll actually go up to the wrestlers and ask them a lot about their history. And I'll always ask them, who trained you? What's some history about you? How many titles have you won in other companies? How long have you been doing this? Give me some notes about your character. What's something your character believes in very strongly? And I'll piece that all together. It's the art of ring announcing or commentary or anything like that isn't just calling moves,
Right.
which some people think it is. It's also putting that structure together.
You're crafting the story behind the scenes.
Exactly,
Really. Like they
yeah.
could be doing all the moves, but
Yeah.
like
And for someone like you who have never been to a show before, you don't know who any of these people are.
Right.
I'm also introducing them to you.
Are you commentating live to the whole audience, the live audience?
No, that would drive everybody insane
it's
if they had to
It's
do
just
that.
like when we were down there. You
Right,
don't
'cause I didn't hear
They're
them.
off
You're not gonna
But if
hear
I
that.
go and watch that live broadcast back, there's
will hear
somebody there.
You will hear the
commentating.
commentary in the broadcast, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably should do that just so I can hear the history of them.
Like
and
if you
stuff
pull
like
up
that.
some of the, like my daughter watches them on YouTube after we go,
Yeah,
then you hear the commentary on the YouTube stream.
I'll have to do
But
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hear my voice all over Three Legacies Wrestling
That's
because
awesome.
I've done all but the one show that I didn't think I was going to be able to make it to that show, so they had a replacement in line, and then I did make it, but I wasn't going to step on his spot or anything, so I'm like, that's cool. I'll just hang out for this one.
Yeah.
But that was a night off for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
But and Joe's only ever missed one too, my broadcasting partner.
Nice.
So I think we're each 1-1.
You have good chemistry and you
Yeah.
riff off of each other.
Yeah.
and-
Joe and I have known each other for 20 years. My second ever show was the first time I met him.
Oh, wow.
And we bonded because this is a Pennsylvania-based company, but we were both from New Jersey.
Nice.
So, and we both have Italian ancestry, and we both love The Sopranos. We're
I love
very stereotypical.
Hey,
So,
whoa,
yeah.
whoa.
Can we stop? We got to go back a little bit.
We're gonna have to pause
We
right
just
here.
got Joe to watch The Sopranos, but we need to back up
Wait,
a
you
little
got
bit.
him to watch it?
No, he started, but
I started.
so this started.
It's a lot of episodes.
We had a
I
huge
can't
conversation
I
about
have a job.
we started out. We had Cisco on the podcast to give us. That works for Curb Media. Group.
Yeah, I know Cisco.
We had him on the podcast to give us a little bit, and he busted Joe's balls because Joe is not a great film person, even though he went to film school. And he
That's really
The history of film.
Wedding
I think the
company.
lighting looks pretty damn good. It's been getting better every
That's very
time.
well for
The
his wedding
4K
stuff.
camera, that lens costs.
it devolved into the fact that Joe had never seen the Godfather trilogy.
Yes.
But he has watched.
We made him watch the first one.
No. What show has he watched?
Oh, the show that he promotes to everyone is Peaky Blinders.
Have you seen the show?
Oh, you're one of those.
This guy meets the captains. And
I hate this podcast. Dang it.
But it's that was the thing.
He won't
when you
watch
said that, I
mob
was like,
stuff, but
"Ah."
he loves Peaky Blinders. So you're
I got into
Sopranos
The
lover. I love
Sopranos.
The
I'm only just
Sopranos.
like 3 episodes in because it's like each episode's like an hour and a half.
Right,
The
it's like
first
a
one's like an
movie.
hour and a half. I'm like, holy hell.
Top 5 shows that, like, for me, it's right there.
It's
in
a
that
very
five.
it's a very good show. It's a very important piece of
I mean,
television history.
Absolutely.
It was way
Absolutely.
better than Godfather, But that was made
But
in the
this is
70s.
funny.
So
Sopranos
like,
is funny, and it's
it's like
unfair.
trying to give me.
It really is.
Yeah, it's not. It's like
unfair
giving me
to
the
say
first
that The
iPhone and be like,
Sopranos
this thing was awesome. Yeah, in like
Sopranos-
2006.
I would say the only comparison is that they're both mob-related things.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, Goodfellas, one of my favorite movies as
You
well.
haven't seen that either.
I know. We had this conversation.
Ooh, I got a hot take for all y'all out there. Goodfellas is better than The Godfather.
I'm with it.
I
That's
agree
not
with
better
that.
than Godfather Part 2, though.
Do you want to actually know what I actually base that on? The fact that Goodfellas is based on a true story.
Yeah, it's based on a
Godfather's
true
based on a
story,
book.
yeah.
So the fact that there's reality in that. I mean, I know they take their creative liberties. I know how this
Obviously,
works.
yeah.
But the fact that there's some reality in there, to me, paints it as a better story. And that's not to say The Godfather is not a great movie, because I think it's a great movie.
Things that are based
If
on
you
true
just say
stories.
that, it makes Cisco really upset.
But it's like Ray Liotta is also just amazing
Sure,
too.
absolutely.
And it's just like Wolf of Wall Street was based on a true story, but they took the creative liberties.
Sure.
But it's still one of the best movies in that realm.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just
And-
based on true stories, just always
Well,
better. in my opinion.
to tie that back to Dusty Roads, baby. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, Daddy. Famous Dustyism.
yeah.
So, but yeah, but going back to what you said about putting a match together, some wrestlers will want to plan the whole thing out. That's what they're comfortable
Like
doing.
move to move, punch to punch, flip to flip.
And I've seen people do that before. Some of them would prefer to call it in the ring, and that's just they want to mesh with the ebb and flow. They want to have the audience tell them what to do next, because it's all about giving the fans what they want and giving the fans what they don't want, and you get that balance in there. You get the good guy to really take down the bad guy and get the fans to cheer, and then you flip the script, and now the bad guy's on the offense and the fans are hating it. And Once you get the fans making noise, you got them.
Except for me, apparently, because I like when the bad guy does stuff.
You're one of those. It's fine.
Those 6-year-olds were about to take you and
Hey,
show you
last
some
week they
moves.
were 8 years old. Now they're 6. Come on,
Let me
give
tell
some
you-
credit.
I
tell you
was scared to
something.
let him back in my car. I thought they were going to damage my car because he was getting into
Let me tell you something. Children at wrestling shows are vicious.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I brought my 8-year-old along, and she was ready to take you down.
And then she ran and got that pinata like it was no business.
So we're very family friendly at Three Legacies Wrestling. We get a lot of kids.
Okay.
And the big instruction is just don't curse. That's always the big rule.
Okay.
But there's 6-year-old kids flipping the bird at these guys, screaming "F you," and it's just like.
But for the kids, it's an exception,
No, I think it's hysterical.
It's hilarious.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I said a lot worse when Italian ancestry. I said a lot worse.
How does that go when a kid's like, fuck you, and then the wrestler's like, oh, you flibber flabber? You're like, they can't feel like that.
Oh my god! Because he can't. I go to Three Legacies. I'm like, I'm gonna curse this guy out. No, me, I'm a grown man. He's gonna be like, see me outside.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Curse somebody out.
Yes.
I'll even tell you which one.
It's gonna be like the little tiny guy. I think he has no business being there, and then he'll kill me.
No, go for it. And you let me know how that turns out for you afterwards.
No, I won't have a tongue.
That might not be the only thing that's missing. So
You might need that bidet for after all.
that day is going to come in handy. Take the blood off. Well, there's a lot of stories about that. When people didn't realize that wrestling was all a work. I mean, some people always did. There's stories going back to the 70s and 80s of people kind of figuring it out, but crowds in general didn't know. And there's all these stories, especially like in the South, where they really took their wrestling seriously.
Yeah.
Guys are getting stabbed. People are coming at them with guns. They got to have cops walking them to the ring. They're beaten. The funny line is, we had to beat off the fans. Like, please don't word it like that when you tell the stories, guys. I've heard that so many times, and it makes me laugh every time.
Stabbing people over wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
One of the most famous ones was Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
He said, guy got in the ring with a knife, and he goes, what are you going to do, stab me? So he stabbed him. Like, Rick,
You can tell me that is choreographed, and I would not believe you in that situation.
guys getting their tires slashed, windows busted on
Oh my
cars. They had
gosh.
to. People took their wrestlings very seriously, and if you, there are pictures back in the day. A tag team called the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. They were like the teen heartthrobs of the South, right? They were on every teenage girl in the South had a poster of them on their wall. In fact, there was a very famous story of a family where the girl was like showing off her Ricky and Robert poster, and it was hanging up right next to her Jesus poster. And they were equal billing on the wall, so it's like I bet Jesus was honored to share that space right there. But like, Ricky Morton is the ultimate person to watch if you're a babyface good guy and you want to learn how to sell and really get emotion behind it. He would be like reaching out to the front row, like, help me. And people are reaching back. Girls are crying, physically crying tears. Like, people got into that. Oh, and find some videos of old ladies in front row in like the 1980s that look like they're going to murder these guys. It's the coolest thing ever.
Would you say that the age of digital technology and social media kind of took that facade away for some people, or
that and the exposure of kayfabe? People get heated, they get into it, but they're saying no, it's a show.
they know at the end of the show it's not gonna. It's just going to carry into the next show.
There's a story of Matthew McConaughey got thrown out of the Dallas Sportatorium for throwing something at one of the wrestlers on a Von Erich show.
Oh, wow.
And he said security threw him out. He goes, yeah, they didn't like what I did there. All right. But he told that story to John Cena, which made it even funnier. But yeah, I think the digital age too, and and just the evolution of culture, and people sue people over dumb stuff these days.
Fair
And
enough.
I could complain about that all day.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those deals where just people accept it for what it is, and they get into it and they get heated about it. And the only time I would say that there's ever a real danger of something like that happens is if somebody's just not really all there upstairs and they find their way past the barricade. And that has happened before.
They take it too real.
They take it too real, or they're trying to get on TV and get that moment in. And
Get that TikTok fame, you know.
Oh yeah, and
get that Haktua fame.
We had it happen on one of our shows one time. Guy tried to run into the ring, and both wrestlers and the referee beat the shit out of him. And a couple of the guys ran out, collected him, threw him right out the front door. And
well, then it's just self-defense. Then isn't it? Like if somebody's coming at you, that's not part of the show, but it's part of being a person.
Sure.
You come at me, I'm like, oh, well, I got no defense.
Some people think that if it's WWE or Tony Khan and All Elite Wrestling, maybe I can sue him or something. But on a small independent show, that ain't going to happen. You're just going to get the crap kicked out of you, and you're going to deserve every minute of it. And those guys don't care because wrestling now is very, very fraternity and very family based.
That's
the
cool.
Three Legacies locker room especially is a wonderful locker room. Everybody looks out for each other, and I'll actually hey, it's called the complaint department, right?
Yeah.
I got a complaint for some of you out there.
We need to pull the button back.
There is a
complaint.
Yeah. There is a very unfortunate part of the fan base. It is small, thankfully. The male fan base who think that they can touch the girls, or they think the girls are interested in them.
What girl? The girls that are
the
in
wrestlers,
the ring?
the wrestlers,
Okay.
or the refs, or the announcers, or just
people
or some of the female fans even.
Okay.
And
Really?
And it bothers me. It bothers me because I look at all the girls in that locker room are like sisters to me.
Right.
So I'm going to big brother the hell out of them, whether they want it or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to look out for them. And now some of them can take care of themselves. Some of them
you want something like, that's more than I could have ever done.
No, some of them could beat me up, and I'm like, I wouldn't mess with her.
Then instead of big brother, they're the big sister taking care of it.
It's like this guy's about to touch her, but he has no idea what she's about to do.
Thanks, sis. You can walk me to my car now. Thank you. I need some bodyguard protection. Thank you.
It's dark out. I'm scared.
But there is also that very unfortunate. There are some of the girls just don't want to stir things up with the fans because maybe they are a babyface, and they just don't want that reputation coming, and they're very non-confrontational, and it's a very unfortunate thing that keeps happening. But what makes it worse is when they end up in the locker room because now they're getting into the business, or they're trying to get into the business, and they're causing that rift. Thankfully, I work for companies, whether it's 3LW or SWO or PPW or Smashmaster or Sanctuary or any of my friends out there, they're all really good at making sure those guys just don't get booked.
They don't stand for that.
They don't get booked. Good. They're not going to be on the show. If they try to show up as a fan, they're going to just be politely asked to leave.
You're a waste of space at that point.
Sure. And I won't get into it publicly, but there was a guy who you can actually find him on a certain registry who we've had to just tell him, do not come back. And now it's at the point where if you do come back, we're going to get you trespassed. Because we just don't want that. We don't want that at our shows.
But I
it's
love
a
hearing it
thing.
from you that you guys don't stand for that. And
no, absolutely not. And wrestling now has become very inclusive. Guys and girls are more on equal footing ground than ever.
The girl at the last blockbuster night at the end, she was kicking some ass. Both of them.
Yeah.
I was like, holy
you
hell.
know, and especially when you start getting like the LGBT community involved, especially there's a lot of trans wrestlers now who are starting to really come up.
Okay.
You know, we don't need that crap. Okay. Yeah. I don't care what your beliefs are.
That's just bad press too.
Exactly. But don't come in and start trouble like that. So we filter those people out, and the girls are here to work. They're not here to date.
Yeah.
Now, if you're lucky enough that one of them, you form a friendship and you end up dating a wrestler, awesome, good for you. Mazel
but just because you're here to wrestle, it doesn't mean they're here for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, and I remember being told by Ricardo, actually, and this is a good lesson for everybody out there. I remember him pulling me aside once and saying, hey, I know you hug everybody because I'm a big hugger. He goes, one of the girls was a little uncomfortable with that. I said, and she was much younger than me, and of course I'm older. That's just a thing. I didn't connect that in my brain. I said, okay, well, thank you for telling me, and I'll make sure that I'm more cautious about that. Good communication, good leadership. That's why he's a good leader, why he's so respected.
He didn't let it fester, get out of hand, and
No,
all of a
no,
sudden
no,
you're
no.
out as the announcer, you know?
No, he didn't turn it into a thing, you know? And I've seen people, oh my God, in 20 years, I have seen people lose their mind over the smallest stuff. I love Johnny Glitter to death. I really hope he's doing well. But my God, I've seen him lose his mind over the littlest stuff. And that's the difference between what I was doing in the 2000s versus what I'm doing in the 2020s.
It's a
God,
much
that's so
different
weird to
time,
say.
too.
Yeah.
It's such a different time if you look at it from a
Sure.
culture standpoint, or even just, you know, even just in the wrestling. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
much different than it was
Absolutely.
back then.
Like I tell everybody should watch Blazing Saddles.
I've never
Everybody
heard
should
I
watch
just made
Blazing
him
Saddles.
watch it not
Yeah.
so long ago.
I've seen it
Watch
many times.
Blazing Saddles.
Never heard of it.
You will understand.
We'll
Yeah.
make you watch it. Yeah.
It is. It's a Mel Brooks movie.
I love Mel Brooks.
It is absolutely hysterical. It is.
Richard Pryor wrote part of it.
It
And
is-
it holds up.
It holds up very well. It is insanely offensive in the best way.
Yeah.
In the
Wonderful.
best way.
Wonderful.
Everybody should watch that movie. And people are like, you could never make that movie today. 100% correct, and you shouldn't make that movie
It
today.
was made in the right time.
But you should watch it to see the product of its time. That's why I actually disagree with the whole hiding like that infamous Donald Duck anti-Nazi propaganda cartoon that you can find on YouTube anywhere.
Yeah.
Where like Donald Duck's in Nazi Germany or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody should watch that. I think you
it
should.
was a product of the time.
Yeah, I'm not saying put it in rotation on Disney Channel today, but
Yeah.
put it out there so people can
It
see
shouldn't
it.
be banned. It should
Yeah.
be shadow banned. You know. you
Plus,
can't-
it's also anti-Nazi propaganda. He's having a nightmare. He wakes up like wearing Stars and Stripes pajamas, and he like hugs the Statue of Liberty. Like
Right.
it's not like he was a Nazi.
But some people on
Yeah.
TikTok will, you know, just share that excerpt of it where he is the
We don't have
Out of
enough
context,
time
yeah.
left in my life for me to go on a TikTok rant. Okay, that's gonna be like a 3-parter if
That's
you want
why-
me to sit down and talk.
That's why they
about-
had the Gen Zer running the TikTok.
Exactly.
We have
Exactly.
before the TikTok because we don't do it.
Yeah.
Well,
we
the
don't
TikTok
think so.
isn't taking off like Instagram is. So.
Yeah, but locker room culture has just gotten so much better.
That's
now,
great.
Now we still pull ribs. I love ribs. I love a good rib. Prank for people who don't know wrestling
Yeah.
vernacular. I'm sorry.
No,
Again,
that's a universal thing. I understood that too.
Sure.
Hey, ribbing somebody.
Yeah. And,
No?
and
Never
I'm
heard
always
that?
I've never heard that.
He didn't, but
I say like, he's
if you're
ribbing
ribbing,
him.
you're
I don't know,
ribbing
you need
someone,
to
you're
explain-
messing with them. You're pulling a prank or everything. Now,
What we do to each other all day.
Yeah.
That's what we did all last.
I'm gonna
week.
say it
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's been some wrestling is a rich history of ribs. Owen Hart was the best ribber ever, mostly because his ribs were harmless, and he ribbed the way that I would do a rib. So the famous Owen Hart rib is you're at the hotel after a show, you order a pizza to be delivered, and you get a call that the pizza's at the front desk, and the delivery guy's mad. Like, I've been out here forever. Get down here. Get your pizza. Like, just bring it on up. No. Get off your lazy ass, and I better get a tip. Like, you son of a bitch. So now you're coming down ready to fight this guy that's mouthing off to you on the phone, and it was Owen pranking you.
And there's no pizza.
Yeah. No, there's pizza. It's your pizza, but
He paid the delivery guy and all that, but he's
that's my type of rib.
Yeah.
He didn't mess with the food.
it's a harmless prank.
Yeah,
It's a
he
harmless
didn't
prank.
mess with the food. Nobody got arrested. Nobody, nothing got damaged. He just riled somebody up and then laughed at them when they got too far.
I think the best thing I've ever heard for a prank was confuse, don't abuse.
Exactly.
And it's like,
Confuse, don't
that's
abuse.
when I like it. When a prank takes too far, it's like you're abusing somebody, costing them financially or like hurting them emotionally. Like,
There's
like,
one-
too bad that you're like, okay, that was like too much.
There's
Yeah,
one on viral on TikTok that's like right on that line where I would call it harmless, but at the same time, it's like depends on the crowd. So there'll be people that take it too far. There's people that'll like go to the corner of a Walmart or something and then just start screaming, help me, help me. And it's like if you're saying help me, I feel like that's when it's like not harmless because people are actually trying
people
to
start patting.
But when you just start like going to the Walmart and just start screaming nonsense or something, it's like I feel like that's
funny.
That's
Yeah.
funny. But when
that's
you're saying
taking
help
a child to Walmart.
right, exactly. But if you're like a guy screaming like a little girl, I think that's funny to see what people would do in that situation. But screaming "help me," that's when I think that crosses the line. It's like people are actually actively trying to help, and then in the situation where somebody actually needs help, they're not going to listen.
Exactly.
You
I love harmless
guys want to
pranks.
hear the best rib we ever pulled in wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my rib story, and I can tell it now because he has been let off the hook, even though he did believe it for a long time. So, back in 2008, I worked for the Walt Disney Company.
Okay.
I did an internship there, and I was basically working there right out of college.
In Florida?
Yeah.
Okay.
Disney World is Florida. That's actually, a lot of people get that confused.
OR
Disney
is Orlando, and then
Yeah.
LA is land.
That's
So
actually a good way to remember it.
Yeah.
There are people...
I thought you said the Walt Disney
Yeah,
Company.
yeah,
so
but it was
I
Disney
wasn't
World in
sure. Okay.
Orlando. There are actually...
That's
This
interesting.
is actually really funny. There's actually people who will, in fact, book a Disneyland ticket and then book a flight to Orlando, and oh my God. Oh, it happens. Oh, it happens.
Did you hear about the story about the girl last year that spent, like we went to Disney last year, and the way that we saved for it was we bought Disney gift cards.
Sure.
There was this one woman that spent $10,000 on Disney Plus gift cards and showed up to Disney World with $10,000 of Disney
Wow.
Plus gift
Yeah, like you
cards.
can watch Bluey.
Disney, forever, for the rest of her life. No, but I was like, Disney, for better or for worse, they're a big company. They made it right and gave her the exact amount to Disney gift
Sure.
cards, but that's hilarious. You show up and you just have the subscription. It has Hulu's logo on it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I want to ride the Hulu ride.
It happens.
I go to
That's
Disney World and I get a free ESPN Plus subscription.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, people mixing up Disney and Universal. It happens. It's you be prepared for it. So when I was down there, I invited the boys to come and visit me on my birthday, or around my birthday, because New Jersey does Teachers Conventions Week in early November. My birthday's mid-November, so they decided to plan a trip. So it was John Salinas, Johnny Toxic, Chris Decker, and Joey Image, who's my broadcasting partner in 3LW. We actually kind of convinced him to come. He was kind of on the fence about it. He had just gone through a really, really nasty breakup. They were like, dude, take this vacation. And the other guy that was with us was Ref CJ from GSW. So I'm not going to get into the full story of poor John. But basically, during a party that I had, I had a bunch of my colleagues there. John kind of took a liking to one of my friends. And what he didn't know was that she was a Mormon from Utah, so it won't going to happen. I'm sorry, dude. That was never going to happen.
At least that night.
But,
Play the long game. You never know.
maybe. But
man.
it wasn't happening then, I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
So we had found out that Florida Championship Wrestling, known as FCW, which at the time, that was their main feeder system in 2008, was doing a show in Tampa. Tampa's only an hour drive from Orlando. So we're like, oh, that would be so cool. Let's go to the show. And John's like, no, I'm going to hang back. I'm not really feeling good, blah, blah, blah. Like he had some weird excuse or something. Basically, he was trying to hang back because he was going to try to talk to this girl and like meet up with her.
Yeah.
So Joey had driven down. They had driven down. So Joey had his car there. And Joey had his gear with him because the rule of wrestling is you always bring your gear with you everywhere you go. Even the SWO shows that I worked where I was just working the 3LW merch table, I still had my suit with me. Because in case I was needed, I could just pop right in. And, so my look, the Converses, the blazer, I made sure.
Is this what you
everything
would
was
show
there.
up in for a 3LW?
Yeah, I'm wearing a polo right now, but I've either a polo or dress shirt or like, yeah, this is the look and everything.
Nice.
Minus the hat, but my hair's a mess right now. So
Yeah.
No, the hat's cool. I like the logo.
well, this is the only thing I really have with a good logo on it because I still don't have a hoodie. I want my hoodie, Ricardo.
Come on, Ricardo.
Right, you're promoting the show. You're getting
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least 77
I want my
more
hoodie.
people to come to the
I think
show.
it's just because they're always like out of. I mean, I'll buy it. I'll support them with that. It's also partly my fault for never remembering.
It's like my job opening a company store every 6 months for us to buy stuff with their logo.
Yeah.
It's like, I
We sell-
work for you.
we sell lucha masks. They're actually
I
pretty
did.
cool.
Yeah, I saw the lucha mask
Yeah.
on the site. Yeah, they look nice.
Actually, my picture at my regular job for a long time was me wearing the lucha mask, and everybody got a kick out of that.
That's awesome.
Because I had the full suit on too,
That'd be awesome for teams
like the full
meetings.
suit with the tie and everything. Oh, it was my team's logo.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And
When you
then-
don't have your camera on and it's just you with the
And I was doing like the point at the camera. So
I got to hear the end of this though.
yeah. So John decides to hang back. So Joe runs to his car. He had his gear with him, so he throws it in the car just because. He takes his keys with him too because he's worried John's going to like take the car or whatever. So the whole drive over there. Now, I don't really care. So I'm just kind of letting them kind of stew about it. They've got their opinions and everything. They've also known him longer than me. Him and Chris like went to school together and everything. Him and Joe trained at the same facility and everything. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. So we get to the show, we get our seats and everything, and this is like 2008. So a lot of the guys on the show were guys that would end up becoming big in WWE eventually.
Oh, nice.
Sheamus was there. Mr. Perfect's son, Joe Hennig, was on the show. Heath Slater was on the show. There were a ton of other guys. I can't remember them all. Alicia Fox was there. And one of the guys that was helping out at the time was a guy named Mike Cruel, who Joe actually knew. So he's like, oh, I thought I recognized you. So like they chatted and everything. And he tells him about the show format. And he goes, yeah, and he says something like, we had a 20-man battle royal or something. It's only going to be 18 of the minute or whatever. And we kind of leave it at that. And Decker, I believe, was the one who goes, we should tell John that because there was a 20-man battle royal and there was only 18 spots, that there were 2 spots open and Joe got to work the match. With the idea being that if he had come 2, he could have gotten the other spot. So of course, now this is before smartphones. I think Joe had an iPhone because he's a big Apple Steve Jobs fan.
Sweet.
So he had an iPhone, but for the most part, we all just had like flip phones with like crappy cameras and everything. Yeah. So there's no photos of this, but we text John and we tell him, oh, dude, there's a spot open. Joe just got a spot. And of course he doesn't believe it. Immediately he's just like, no, there isn't. But we got Cruel in on it. And we even got it to a point where when the Battle Royal happened, we kind of laughed like we were calling him. And then we were trying to like talk to Joe as he was walking back to the locker room. So we got him to like walk past us and everything. We kind of sold it a little bit. And then in the actual Battle Royal, there was a wrestler by the name of Yoshitatsu, a Japanese guy who gets eliminated like within seconds. So we just formulated the story that Yoshi and Joe got eliminated at the same time. They're the first 2 out. And Joe, very infamously, and he'll even tell you, when he would do battle royals and he wasn't winning or in the final 4, he would always try to be the first guy out and he'd try to race everybody. So as soon as the match would start, he'd be like, throw me! And they would because he just thought that was funny. Yeah. Like, throw me. And then he'd be the first one eliminated. He'd be like, oh, damn, all right, well. And he'd run to the back. Later. But we all committed to the story and we convinced John that this had happened, and had he come with us, he could have gotten the spot too. And he actually believed it for a really, really long time. And I always assumed he probably was suspect about it. But I remember he did bring it up years later. I wasn't there for this, but he brought it up in front of the other guys. And they kept committing to it. So he obviously believed it for a little bit. Awesome. He eventually was let off the hook. But that was my favorite rib that I've ever pulled before. And it wasn't even really mine. I was just there for it.
Yeah,
but
that's amazing, though.
But yeah, but
those are the ones that's like you have that story to tell now, and it didn't harm anybody.
And it's
but it pissed him off, or
because he
stayed around for more than a chick.
He failed, and I knew he failed. We all knew he was going to fail, so he should have just come to the show, and he could have. And it's not like it would have been a big deal for a random guy to work a battle royal on an independent show. That stuff happens. People, very recently on a 3LW show, we had a guy didn't make it. And he was going to go up against a guy named Victor Atlas, one of our trainees who were pushing as a monster. And the whole concept was, all right, well, we need a body. And one of the young students was like, I'll do it. And this is like a really, really small kid. It made it even better. Because the whole point was, you're not going to get any offense. You're going to go in. He's going to kill you. And that's going to be the match. And that's actually a good lesson for young wrestlers out there. Going back to the whole get your shit in, right? Like, sometimes your job, the promoter is going to come up to you and be like, you're going to lose this match. You're going to lose it in 3 minutes. Make them look like a star. If that's your job, go out there and sell your ass off and make it look like that person killed you. And that's going to be the most impressive thing.
Right. Right. Instead of going out there and being pissed off that they told you.
Pissed off and being like, I want to get offense and I want to do
win,
move.
You know? Yeah.
And
I think it shows the most important thing that you're a team player,
exactly.
Everything else. If you can't be that and you can't support everybody else, nobody's going to support you.
You do that in everyday life, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's part of the job is the promoter's going to tell you to do something. And when I was going back to putting a show together, sometimes that's what the instruction was. Like, I want this to be a submission win, and I want it to be a decisive submission win. Well, my character doesn't tap out. All right, well, then you're out, and I'm going to put somebody in there who will tap out for my guy. Because
all of a sudden you're not in this event this weekend.
Because out of 10 guys in this locker room, and you don't want to do it, I got 9 others that will.
Yep.
And now I'm going to put you in a... I'll tell a quick story from the early days of GSW.
Okay.
There was a guy... Actually, I can't even... I won't bury him because I don't remember his gimmick name, but he...
You know who you are.
Yeah.
He's watching.
We booked him as a babyface because we had too many heels. So we booked him as a babyface. He goes, I want to be a heel. I'm like, well, I don't really have room for it right now. Like, I got all these guys as heels, and they're all kind of like the experienced guys. And I'm like, I really need a good seasoned babyface, and you're kind of the only one. You know, because the guy who brought you can't be a heel because of his character, or can't be a babyface because of his character. Like, but you can because you're not established or anything. People don't know who you are. And he was doing a good job at it, but he just kept pushing and just kept pushing. And he would like write up treatments about how to turn him heel and everything. And it's like, who the hell's paying you right now? Like, and finally, John, because John was the money guy at the time, because he had a really good Verizon job. He was really funding it. He goes, all right, he wants to be a heel? We'll make him heel. He goes, he's going to be a bottom of the card heel. And that's where we put him. That's where we put him. Because he couldn't have a top heel spot because we had those spots filled. He could have been a babyface and worked with those guys, but he insisted, so we made him a bottom heel. And then he eventually was like, I don't want to work for you guys anymore. It's like, all right, well, you know what? We don't want to work with you either. You're here because you were convenient, and now other people want to work for us. That's the problem.
Some people think they're too big of names to be told what to do.
Well, that's with everything, though. Every job I've ever worked at, there's always somebody that has an ego that has no talent.
You got that system admin that thinks he's top
100%.
shit, but he can't do the tech job if given the opportunity.
So I've worked in enough tech jobs to find that person. It's like, oh, I know everything, and I'm like, obviously you don't.
But it takes a better manager to be able to
Exactly.
weed that guy out and be like, you don't have what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't say that if you did. Humble is the number one answer for IT. If
Yeah,
you're not humble,
absolutely. I keep my head down and do my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody tells me what to do, gives me a project, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me a job purpose.
Yeah,
Right.
seriously. And it's what happens in these locker rooms. We weed those people out because if you can't...
Thanks for giving me the chance. You know?
Exactly,
Like, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, and yes, now you do have to have a little bit of an ego, but I'm more talking about you need to be more. We want people to be confident in themselves.
Yeah, you have to be confident but not arrogant.
Exactly.
But if you're that heel that and your whole character is being arrogant or having an ego, that's
your
different.
character can be arrogant.
That's
for
different.
sure,
But when you get in the
Exactly.
locker room, you need to be
Exactly.
a
When
locker
you
room
walk out through that
presence.
curtain, you be the most arrogant prick imaginable. You make those people hate you.
Yeah.
You make them want to throw stuff at you.
I'll tell
When
you,
you
that's
come
the
back
only-
through that locker,
We went
you come
back.
back through that curtain. You act like that to me?
Yeah, it should be a facade.
My first show that I went to, my brother bought tickets for. I took my daughter. Tim Rush comes by and he goes, "Nice ears, freak," because she had cat ears on her head. After that, she's like, "I'm going back every time to watch him lose."
See, and that's
Every month, she's like, "I am buying tickets. We are going to see him lose."
that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's
Who are you rooting for?
Him.
you know, you got it.
How close were you to Mavis?
Mavis gave me some dirty looks. So I want to touch briefly. I know we're getting towards like that hour and a half
Yeah, we
territory.
got
but
about like 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
I do want to ask about. So when we were scheduling this, you were talking about how Three Legacies works with recovering addicts and things like that, and that hits close to home for me. And I just wanted to hear that out. What you guys do? Did you just say Ricardo is the one that is like? Is there more recovering addicts that work with 3LW?
Oh, sure.
or-
So Blueprints
that's
is a big
awesome.
sponsor of us.
Okay.
So we'll actually carve out an entire section of the crowd and let them all come out and really experience everything. But we're very charity based. So we have a student showcase coming up where it's part of the African American Heritage event.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned we did the LGBT show where we had a couple of trans wrestlers on. That was an interesting show too because there was no commentary for it, so I was there more as security.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricardo said my instructions were if anybody makes a comment, you throw them out. And I was like, that's the only time in my entire life I've ever wanted to hear a trans
you wanted to
like
throw
a trans
somebody
slur
out.
because I was like,
Wow. Yeah.
please say something, please say
Now,
something.
how did that go? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, it went amazing. It was nothing but love. In the room.
Was it in
nothing but
Lancaster
love.
with the event? 'Cause I know that Lancaster's a very
Harrisburg.
open. Okay.
Harrisburg. It was in Harrisburg.
I don't know about Harrisburg. I work in Harrisburg.
We
but,
got
I mean,
death threats.
Okay.
So we had some little, and again, a couple of the bigger wrestlers who weren't at working matches were doing security. And I remember one of them was just like, let them try. Like, just let them
Just
try.
look behind you before you say something.
But yeah, but we do a lot of charity events. We have a lot of great sponsorships. We've been partnered with the National Guard.
Nice.
So that's been really, really big for us. Kinetic Movers has been working with us now. So they've actually been helping haul the ring back and forth as part of the partnership. But
it's a really good value.
Yeah, there's a lot of community building, a lot of inclusion, and just a lot of just come out and have a good time. Just come out and have fun. Bring the family. It's family friendly. You're not going to see, and I'm going to get into a couple of my philosophies here, folks. No one's going to bust anybody open with a freaking light tube and bleed all over.
Yeah.
Not at one of our shows. If you're into that, that's great. Go watch those in front of the 20 people in somebody's backyard with the barbed wire plates and everything.
Yeah.
Mazel tov to you if you find that entertaining.
Blood has no place in wrestling from what I've seen. It's not really like you're not
has its
trying to
place, but
get
it should
somebody
be
to
for
bleed.
effect.
It does, but it doesn't. Back in the day, blood was a big feud staple. If these guys are in a blood feud, they hate each other so much they're making each other bleed. That gets the point over.
I was thinking maybe you have a blood pill in your mouth or something just for effect, as opposed to actually making them bleed.
Well, I'll give you some curtain pullback. That's real blood you're seeing, my friend.
All the time?
All the time. Now, I'm sure somebody's used a capsule back in the day, but
Okay.
now.
Well, there was that one guy that had the nosebleed last week that just couldn't stop bleeding.
Well, that was not there, but yeah.
Yeah. but guys would actually hide a razor blade under their tongue and slip it out, or under their wrist tape, slice the forehead, the blood would come down, and if they were good at it, you would never see it.
Yeah.
Now, I love Chris Jericho to death. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, but the fact that he does it on camera pisses me off to no end.
Right? I was just like,
Oh my god.
So it's like a guy taking a cigarette and putting it out on his tongue?
Yeah.
he waits
Exactly.
until they're like on his close-up.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And he used to have a very strong philosophy on the wrestling business. I don't know what happened. I do know what happened. Tony Khan's money happened, but you know, that's a four-parter. So
Well, I'm just glad that you guys do a lot for communities, and
yeah.
like I said, the recovering addict thing really hits close to home. So that's great that you
yeah,
guys have
it's
some
very
stuff around
rewarding. It's really rewarding to just. One of my favorite things to do at shows, honestly, is when the people are filtering in or during an intermission, is to just watch and just see how excited people get to meet their favorite wrestlers who in turn are trying to make it big too. And this is like so cool for them, especially for the wrestlers who were having their first matches. And Ricardo's got some standout students: Al Snook, Zoe Cannon, Just Jay, AJ Morales.
We see Just Jay and Al Snook all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a tag team in SWO. Yeah, those are two of Ricardo's top students.
That's awesome.
Zoe was actually the first female graduate of the Three Legacies Academy. So you're going to see these guys and girls coming out, and they're just as excited to meet the fans as the fans are to meet them, because, I remember
the first fans coming up to him and being like, "Hey!"
First autograph I ever signed as an announcer was on a napkin.
Nice.
And that was so funny, and I hope that thing's got to be worth like 10 cents now, so I hope he kept that. But like,
as opposed to the 8 cents that the regular napkin.
Exactly. No, it went up in value.
Inflation for paper, man. We went through the pandemic.
The pandemic, you should put it on toilet paper.
That's a solid dime now, my friend. That ain't pennies no more. That's a whole dime. That's one coin. You're welcome. I hope that thing's framed on your wall.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, it's the coolest thing in the world. And like, I remember I got recognized at the grocery store.
Nice.
Granted, I had the hat on, but like, somebody's like, "Hey, Three Legacies." I'm like, "You're Chris." "Yes, I am." Like
That's me.
I'm like, that's right.
That's a nice touch. Yeah, that's
whoop.
awesome.
Before right at the end of the show, I'm going to mess up the mic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, and stuff like that's so cool. And it's helping me out too with, because I've got a podcasting channel. I do Twitch streams all the time, and our fans are watching that stuff.
Yeah.
And then in turn, I want to turn around, I want to help them. So when they've got a project going on, I'm like, tell me what you're doing. I'll promote it.
Yeah.
Because I've got a pretty big social media presence now. So I figure, why not give back? And that's like you were saying about the community thing. I'm all about community and giving back. I do a Twitch stream every year, first Saturday in November. It's called Extra Life Day, if you guys have ever heard of that. It's a charity that works directly with the Children's Miracle Network. And the first Saturday of every November, they call it Extra Life Day. And you do a stream whatever you want, and people can donate, and that money goes directly into the Children's Miracle Network.
Is it kind of like Make-A-Wish or?
Yeah, sort of. So
Okay.
mine is the Children's Hospital in Hershey because it goes to the one that's closest to you in proximity.
Nice.
And
That's a wonderful hospital.
yeah, and they've actually reached out to us again. I've actually been invited. It hasn't happened yet, but I've been invited to actually like meet them and tour the hospital because I've been doing it for so many years
It's really
now.
nice there.
So that's really cool for me and to like give back and everything. So I did this 24-hour stream, but with
24 hours.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, I was delirious by the end of it. That was
So right at the start of that day to the end? Or
yeah, I
that's
literally
the
went
end of-
midnight to midnight.
That's awesome.
I did crash at one point. I took like a 5-minute break to like close my eyes and be like, but once I had like people in chat like talking to me again, I got
Busy, yeah.
yeah.
10,000 likes and us three will do that.
I mean, I pretty much do that anyway on a daily. So
But we can do a live stream. I don't know about 24 hours,
Well,
though.
a 24-hour thing is not hard if there's multiple people because then you can take shifts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whereas I was doing it completely by myself,
Solo,
so that was
Yeah.
that was it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'll do 24 again, but well, and that's how I learned Facebook Live caps you off at 8 hours. So I was like, you know what, that's perfect. I'll do an 8-hour stream, and then when Facebook Live wraps me up, I'll just wrap up in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like all that charity stuff is all about giving back, and because that got so popular, I was like, man, there's all these other charities I'd love to donate to. I want to donate to the breast cancer foundations just because I know a couple of breast cancer survivors.
Yep.
My niece has a very rare disease, so I want to do donations to like the rare disease networks and everything.
Yep.
And then, just causes I believe in, LGBT rights, veteran affairs, pets, animal
Yeah.
shelters, humane, like to help the dogs and cats of the world. Like,
Wild how underappreciated pets are, like in that.
Sure,
like how much
absolutely.
money they could use.
So my goal, as I've always said, through wrestling and through everything else I'm doing, my goal is to reach just enough level of fame where I can do this stuff regularly, where I'm not asking the same people all the time for donations, because I know that can be very hard, especially with where we are right now with the economy and everything. It's difficult, and I get that.
Yeah.
Totally respect that. But I always say the same thing. I said, donate $1. If that's literally all you have, that's $1 more that the sick children didn't have.
And that's what I tell people too. If you don't even have that dollar, donate your time. If you have some time,
Or just share the link.
just share it,
Share
yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Give it a bigger
put
audience.
it out there.
Yeah.
Put it out there. And people were doing that for
every
me.
click is a
Yeah,
donation.
Exactly. And that's the way I look at it. And so now I want to get to that point where like once a month I want to do some kind of stream, like an 8-hour just deal on a Saturday where I just sit down and I say, okay, for the next 8 hours, I'm going to play Pokemon
Nice.
and get pissed off every time I get, and every time I get knocked out by Whitney's stupid milk tank. I'm still not over that. And all your donations are going to go to help the local humane societies in Lancaster. 100% of your donation. I'm not taking a dime from that.
That's awesome.
So like, just donate. And even if you have to donate directly to me, I'll make the check and everything, and I'll put it out there. Extra Life makes it easy because it just goes straight to them.
Yeah,
But I know for smaller organizations, I'll have to do that. But I'll make like a not a GoFundMe because they take a percentage of that. But I'll make like just like a little PayPal or something just for the event, and then that way I can connect it to them. And be like, okay, I raised a couple $100. Here you go.
Yeah, that's
Go
awesome.
help the animals, or
Good for
go
you.
help whoever, just the stuff that I believe in,
I trust you as a charity to use that money to help.
yeah. And I would never take money like that because I've always been of that mindset. What if I was in that situation? I would feel devastated to know that somebody stole money from me. I've been robbed before. I won't tell the story, but I let a friend crash on my couch when he had nowhere to go, and he robbed us. He stole a bunch of video games and DVDs and stuff to pay off his drug habit. And I got restitution over that eventually because I had to turn him into the authorities.
Yeah.
But like, I just remember that feeling, and it's the worst feeling in the world. It's the most. It's like this helpless, defenseless feeling. I don't want to put anybody through that. And I know people who steal from charities. God, just don't like. You gonna steal from somebody? Go steal from the rich kid or something. Like, I don't know.
yeah, Joe,
Or don't
go to Joe's
steal.
house.
But
Or
No, Joe's parents.
If you
Come
couldn't,
on now.
if you couldn't tell by the potholes in the driveway, we're doing real
Go
well.
to Joe's parents' house.
We are going there tomorrow, and I'm going to
Yeah,
steal a
maybe
lot of
that's-
alcohol. So.
or just don't steal. Be a human.
Yeah,
All
right.
right,
like-
stealing alcohol just means drinking your
Work
mom's
hard
alcohol.
for your
but-
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks, Holly.
But
Love
yeah.
you.
And you know, and don't get in the way of charity is the only thing I always say. You know, like you'll meet people.
They're there for a reason.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's people in wrestling that I'm sure don't like me. I mean, everybody in wrestling's got people like that. You know, just don't mess with me when I'm doing charity. If you want to badmouth somebody on social media, go nuts. Dude, go nuts, go insane.
That's what social media is for nowadays.
But yeah, but I remember somebody who had an issue with me actually showing up to one of my charity events and trying to like badmouth me in the chat and everything, and we banned him. Yeah. We immediately blocked him, and I'm like, all right, you know, that to me, that's where you cross the line.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I don't. Yeah. You can have whatever issue with me you want. You want to go in the park? I got access to a ring. You want to go? Let's go. Yeah. I got access to a place where we can do this. But like, you know, just don't mess with charity. Be kind, professional. Be on time. And you know what? If you are going to be late or you can't make a show or something, communicate that.
Communication.
Because communication is key. And in all walks of life.
Everything. Absolutely.
Sure. Relationships and jobs and all that
and
stuff.
my generation doesn't understand that, but that's definitely a conversation that could go on hours.
Yeah,
my generation sucks.
Well, we're complaining.
No, don't worry, it all comes up through because the millennials used to be the bad ones too.
Yeah.
So
now Gen Alpha is going to be the bad one.
Yeah, now you just pass it all down the line.
Do you want to do like
I always joke that the previous generation, like, oh, that darn generation, but they're the ones who wanted to make it better for my kids, and then they do, and then they gripe about it.
We all collectively hate baby boomers, though. Right?
Sure.
Absolutely.
My biggest,
some of them.
My biggest gripe as a millennial, and this is one I'll side with the baby boomers on, I'm not scanning a QR code to see your menu at the restaurant.
No, that's really? A COVID thing just for them to save money, the restaurant.
Yeah,
it's like, come on.
No.
Print out the damn menu.
Then you know what? Kill another tree.
Yeah.
We used AI to make our logo. It probably burned a tree down.
Oh, I burned houses.
You burned houses.
Sir, did you look at our menu? Just bring me a freaking cheeseburger.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. See, we
have this artisan bread. Well, I wouldn't freaking know because I'm not using your damn QR code.
Yeah.
This is gonna reflect on your tip. You want to do like a lightning round to wrap up? Do some quick fire questions?
Do you have any?
I had one more. I have
the main one. Okay.
Well, the one I've always back too. So it's
what he wants to know.
Right. What I've always wanted. Well, I guess it goes
don't ruin the facade, Joe.
This is the main event. Your main event question is.
The last question of the podcast is.
Oh, now you built it up way too much. But like we see these guys get slammed on thumbtacks, like, and then this is a local event. So like most of these wrestlers that we see, do they have normal? It's not a good word, but other jobs outside of this.
Or day jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. They
so
have
like this
jobs.
guy I'm getting seen slammed on thumbtacks is going to work on Monday.
So this guy's taking help desk calls while pulling thumbtacks out of his back.
Yeah.
Very well could be. Oh yeah, they all on the independent level. I mean, it would be amazing if we didn't have to. If this was our full-time gig, that would be incredible, and I would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
But you know, this is the reality of the situation, and just like those single A ball players that we talked about earlier, they're not doing it full time.
They're doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah. But that's with everything. Not all actors have to work these. Got to do the B sci-fi movie with the terrible CGI to get recognized and get the big gigs. Yep. Musicians have to go and perform in small clubs and everything and open for larger acts so that they can become the opener act. It's no different with anything else, with any other walk of life. This is exactly what it is. So yeah, a lot of them will have their standard 9 to 5s, and you'll see people in all walks of life.
Yeah.
They're just doing it to have that paycheck to fuel their hobby.
So they do this because of a passion, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Then because
it's not about the money for them; it's about the love of the game.
You've gotta love it.
But if
is there other reasons that people
especially
do
the thumbtack guy, like, come on.
Well, now there are plenty of people who do it just because they like wrestling, but they want to be involved with it, but they're not necessarily trying to make a career out of it. And that's fine. That's, everybody's got a different goal. But the ones who do really want to make it, they will work to get to that level where they can make a full-time go of it. And they can say, okay, I'm booked every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from here on out. And I'm good enough now where I can give you a guarantee, where I can request what my pay is because I've got that exposure. And now that's what I'm going to get paid, and that's what I'm going to do. And the bigger name you are and the harder you work, the more of a reality that can be.
Mm-hmm.
So in the local markets, it's possible to make it your full-time thing
It
without
is.
going like WWE level.
Sure, it's
Wow.
it's very difficult, but it's
Right.
achievable, and that's something that
Achievable goals is like that.
achievable
big thing.
goals. Yeah. You got to work hard. You have to take it seriously. You can't be that person on Twitter arguing with every fan.
Yeah, come on, dude. Come on.
Please stop with that. You gotta take yourself seriously. You gotta take your training seriously. You know, part of it's the look. You gotta look the part, and you gotta look the part. You gotta play the part. You gotta work hard at it. If you're struggling on promos, do more promos. Keep talking. Talk to other people who are good at promos. Get tips from them. Watch tape. I watch all kinds of old commentators. I watch Lance Russell. I watch Bill Mercer. I watch Gordon Soley. I watch Jim Ross, Joey Styles, because I want to learn from them. Those are the best commentators of all time. I want to see what they're doing and how they're doing it and incorporate that in. For me, my commentary style is very much a mix of a sports broadcaster who's calling the action and a storyteller who gets excited and into it. And if I can mix those two, then that's the commentator I want to be.
That's a perfect commentator, too.
And that's what Ricardo wants from me, and that's what I'm always working on. And be coachable. That's a big thing, too. Be coachable. He comes up to me all the time, and he says, hey, this was, you could have done this better. You could have said this better. A little low energy here. Okay, thank you. And I love when he gives me those notes, because now I know what needs to be improved.
Egos
and I
don't have a place in things like that.
Sure, absolutely not.
Right.
And some people, they think that they're the best at everything, and they don't need to improve. And it's like, okay, well then, why don't you show us how it's done? I've said that to people too. Okay, well then show me.
You think
you show me how it's done? Yeah.
That's where that humble comes into play.
Yeah. If you're so much better at this than me, then show me. But you better knock it out of the park, because I'm going to nitpick the shit out of everything you do if you're going to pull that card on me.
You're telling me that you're the best at this? I'm going to check everything.
Yeah,
I do that in IT. We do that all the time.
Sure.
Yeah,
show me you're the best.
You're the best at this thing. I'm going to nitpick it.
Yeah, if you say, I know everything, I go, fine. Here's what I need. Go ahead and do it.
know how to build a VM in VMware and build a gold image.
I'm going to check it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see
it. If you know how to do everything, then you're done. Then you have nowhere else to go.
Why should I even coach you?
Yeah, then there's nothing left for me to teach you. Go out and be in the world.
Well, how do I do this? Well, then obviously you didn't know everything if you're asking me questions.
Every wrestler who ever took this seriously and ever truly made it will tell you the same thing that I'm going to tell you right now. Nope, I'm still learning. I learn something new every day, and I do. Every show I work, I learn something new, and it could be the most subtle thing in the world, but I literally learn something new every show I watch, every match I watch. I'll watch a famous match with other wrestlers and just listen to them critique the match, and I learn stuff from that.
Wow.
And I'm always learning, and I never want to stop learning. And I think that's a good mentality
That's
for
a good
people
mentality
to have.
for everything. If you stop learning, you might as well just disappear.
You should be.
I go to work every day with the idea of, if I don't walk away with one new piece of knowledge, whether it even just be like something stupid, some little nuance,
just
or something.
a random fact.
Yeah. I'm a big old nerd, so I watch a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Nice.
And he always says, he goes, we need to be perpetual students. We should always be learning. And he goes, it's a statement of society that everybody hated being in school. They just wanted school to be over. He goes, then you failed as a society to make school fun.
Yeah.
Because if you make school fun, people will enter the world always wanting to learn, and they'll always keep learning. And the people who had fun in school are the ones who achieve these high-end goals. They become doctors, they become scientists, they become community leaders. And the ones who hated school and wanted to get out of it all the time are, and the guys that are doing menial jobs now that maybe they love it and great for them, but that's
maybe it pays the bills and stuff, but
it pays
it's not going to change the world, It's
you're not gonna... and that's fine. If you're doing what you enjoy doing, then do it. But
everybody's different.
But everybody,
I've learned
but people need to. If you want to make a difference in this world, you've got to, like you said, you got to humble yourself. You got to learn. You have to be coachable, and you should always listen. And I say this with everything. There's two sides to every discussion, regardless of what the topic is. There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the objective side. And I will sit and have a debate and a conversation with anybody who can accept that mindset. Because if you're willing to hear me out, I'll hear you out 100% of the time. Even if I completely disagree, I'll still hear you out.
That's a good discussion. That's a good debate.
And even if we're on the same page,
most people don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can be on the same page completely. But if you're just screaming, then I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it.
Just entrenching yourself more in your own
I
opinion.
don't care if
you're
I
not
agree
listening
with
to
you.
me.
You're just screaming your thoughts at this time.
Yeah.
And again, these are the best thing that you can be in wrestling. And I'll close with this to kind of do a little rap for you guys. Any young wrestler out there who is watching this, if you've ever wanted advice from an old grumpy vet like
That's
me,
the guy you want to listen to.
yeah. Well, I'm significantly less grumpy.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to work on the grumpy, but
Yeah.
Pretty chipper for
Yeah, you're not
grumpy.
I actually get a
People.
lot of praise about that. Thanks, Mickey Mouse, for teaching me that part. But the best thing, just remember, if you work hard, if you listen, and if you're coachable, the sky is the limit. You can be anything you want to in the wrestling business and in the world.
Yeah,
If you can be anything you want. Nothing is unachievable. Oh, I'll never get there. No, you will. If you want it, you can get there. Awesome. You can get there. You gotta accept that it's going to take time. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take a lot of patience. It might take some sacrifice, but you can do it. If you guys want this podcast to beat out Chris Van Vliet, you could. You got to want it. You got to figure out how to get there and make it happen. If I wanted to be in the WWE as an announcer, I could go for it. I choose not to be because I don't think at this point in my life, I don't think I would like that road schedule. And that's honestly the main reason why I wouldn't actively pursue it.
He could be a motivational speaker. I'm ready to quit my. I'm ready to quit my job and go full complaint department.
As you're going through this, I'm thinking like the book that we use at my work is The Ideal Team Player, and their whole thing is hungry, humble, smart, and it's the same concept. Yeah. Be hungry about what you want, be humble about it, but be smart.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's a great philosophy to live by.
I love
and you can achieve anything, and it's never too late. I mentioned this before, but I do a lot of work helping college students find their direction. And I remember I spoke to a lady who was in her 80s, and she was going for her master's. And she said, it's never too late. And I said, you are absolutely right. It is never too late. So anybody out there who wants to be a professional wrestler, find a reputable school. That's always the first thing. Find a reputable school. Reputable.
Joe's Basement is not a reputable school.
Yeah. We do have the table, but that's where it is.
We can recommend. There's 3 Legacies Wrestling Studio in Centerville.
Centerville. Yep.
Yeah, we want to give them a chance to plug stuff.
New beginner classes are starting in September. So if anybody out there really wants to, I'm on social media at Chris O'Mealy pretty much everywhere. It's a boring username, but that's my brand because it's me.
You have a link tree?
I do actually.
I'm sure we can throw a link tree.
I'll throw that out to you guys so you can put that in there. And if you really want to hit me up on social media and ask questions about wrestling, I don't have as much time to just chat with everybody as I wish I could, because I do work pretty hard behind the scenes. But I will make time to and respond to anybody best I can, and I'll point you in the right direction. I'll get you in contact with 3 Legacies. Go check out the school. Say hi to Ricardo. He's a nice guy. I promise. He's a nice guy. He's one of the best trainers I've ever seen because he's firm, but he's fair with everything. Mm-hmm. I know he has screamed at people, but it's not like I've seen the old grizzled veterans who they'll just scream at people like a drill sergeant. He doesn't do that. He's a very hands-on teacher. He's very patient with his students, but he also expects the best out of them, and he's going to push you to be your best. Awesome. And if anybody ever wants advice, if you want me to watch a match and critique it, I'm always open to do that. I'm here. I'm at that point now in my career, and I'm very happy I can say this, where everything I do now is to give back to the next generation, because I'm where I want to be. I'm happy with where I am right now. So now I want to see other people achieve their dreams. I want to see young wrestlers get in there and kill it and get looked at by WWE. I want to see that for them.
That's awesome.
And I will do whatever I can to help push them in that direction.
That is awesome.
And I don't care who you are. Shoot me a message. Let's chat. And
I went in his business chat, and he got me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how it started.
We sent Noah, who had a vague acquaintance from years ago, 5 years ago,
4 or 5 years ago at this point. We worked together, all right. But we spent 40 hours a week together for a while.
No, well, you made it sound a lot.
No, actually, wait, no, we worked different shifts. I was night shift, so.
Whatever. Yeah,
I knew him. He knows my sister.
But I'm friends with your family, so it just kind of connected.
So it worked, but I did still drop in the business chat just for courtesy purposes. And he's very responsive, so thank you.
I will.
Yeah.
And he answered a lot of our wrestling questions.
Yeah,
and then, I mean, it's been one of the most inspirational podcasts we've had.
I'm ready to run through a wall right now.
We might have to rename it as the HR department or something, inspiration department. But
complaints.
I know, but you never know what you're going to find in what department you look in at work. So, as we said that, as you're going to work and you're liking it and you're trying to learn
People
something
are
new.
watching this like, I'm going to complain about this not being a complaint department.
That's what the comments are.
They're gonna be like, why didn't he complain more? He just motivated me to actually get up off my ass and do something.
One of my biggest complaints in the wrestling business is people do complain too much, and it's like
that's everything.
But you have to be you got to be very careful because we all talk to each other.
Yeah.
I have connections in a lot of different places, and if you're fulfilling that reputation and somebody hits me up and they're like, hey, I'm working with so and so, and like, are you sure you want to do that?
Right.
Like, now I'll give everybody that chance, and I'm very big on second chances and forgiveness and all that stuff. People learn their lessons, you can't.
I did a lot of things even a couple of years ago that I'm like, I'm old enough now, I'm like, wow, I need redemption from that.
No,
like,
absolutely.
That was so stupid.
No, 100%, and we all do it. I mean, hell, I can make a mistake 6 months ago that I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. But
that was stupid.
But you learn from it, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is I'm not going to hold somebody accountable because we had a disagreement, back in the 2000s or whatever. Like, I'm not going to hold that accountable anymore.
You're a different person.
Sure, and I'm not even the same person I was a year ago. I'm always growing and learning, and at least trying to. I mean, I need to get off my ass a little more and get a little. Because working from home has made me kind of a soft potato.
I'm in the same boat. I was giving Noah a hard time the other night on Discord because he's like, I'm driving here. And
I have an hour to work every morning.
I was like, my commute is horrible. I got this orange-yellow cat that cuts me off. I go from here to here.
Yeah, you got an orange. That's even better.
I think it was your wife that said, most people we judge our commute by miles or by time. He travels paces.
Yeah, paces.
Yeah, it's like I got 4 paces to the bathroom, 5 paces to the desk.
In my defense, I worked 2 to 3 jobs a long time. I drove to King of Prussia for years.
Sure.
I actually hate work from home.
And eventually, when you reach my age and you work from home, I told you have a cat cutting you off too.
My cat cuts me off in the morning too.
I got 3 cats, and they know my schedule, so they know what time I wrap.
We have
so they show up. They show up when it's time. They're like, "Oh, are you done yet?" I'm like, "You know how this is. 15 more minutes. Shut up. I'm on the phone. Shut up." But yeah, no,
I don't like working from home. So, but that's a conversation for
that's a whole
one,
different. Yeah, but that's the thing is like just just be hungry, humble, smart.
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. That's a good.
If you guys like it, there is
a T-shirt.
I would promote. There is a book called The Ideal Team Player. That's where it came from. I didn't make it up. I can't own it, but
I'm gonna put that in my team status message.
All right.
Because right now mine is if opportunity doesn't walk or
doesn't walk.
Oh,
no.
Oh.
If opportunity does not knock, build a door. I like that one a lot. Hey, look, a door! It's opportunity!
It's the only set piece!
Opportunity!
Don't try and open it! Yet!
And then down came the set.
Narnia's back there. Narnia's back there.
Big inspirational thing, and you rip down the set. Perfect. That's great.
Well, thanks for watching, Doug.
Doug made it to the end.
So, since we can't tell you, Doug, we're going to tell everybody else that's watched this. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and you'll make Joe feel better.
Yeah, we've been doing pretty good. So
that's right.
Thank you very much for your time, Chris.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. Was there anything else that you wanted to promote before we sign off there?
I mean, the Club Kayfabe Creative Community, which was my brand abbreviated to CKCC, CKCC Radio for podcasts, CKCC Video on YouTube, and CKCC Online for Twitch. That's all in my link tree, by the way, so if you guys just click that, you'll find it. Again, I'm on social media at Chris O'Mealy. I support people who support me, so if you've got a project, if you've got a small business, if you've got a podcast or a Twitch stream or a YouTube channel, or you're an independent wrestler, you give me some plugs. You'll be all over I will give you every plug possible. I support people who support back. I'm a very giving person now. Like I think the original point before we went on a tangent, that's never happened before. The original point I was trying to say was, I'm at that point now where all I want to do is give back, and I'm very, very happy to do that for people. Nice. So, please, and come out and support 3 Legacies Wrestling if you can.
Yeah, can you name some upcoming events?
Sure. So we are going to be at the York and Lebanon Fair this summer. 3LWTix, TIX.com. So the number 3, LWTix.com. That's our website now. You can buy all the tickets. All the tickets are digital. Nice. So you can get everything on there. You can see all the upcoming events. A lot of the student shows are free because it's the exposure to get the students in front of live crowds. Nice. So that's a good place for people to start, so you don't have to worry about buying a ticket or getting a front row seat or whatever.
For that.
Yeah.
I take care of the tickets because I need them there for my people watching.
Yeah. Our big show every year is the Red Rose Rumble at Clipper Magazine Stadium, or Penn Medicine Park as it's called now. This year it's going to be September the 6th. We have some big names, former WWE names lined up. I can't say who they are yet, but I know. But
we better just mark that in your calendar. We're going 9.
I don't have a wedding. I looked already.
We're going to that one.
Yeah.
So you'll meet complaint department when we're at 82 subscribers.
The tickets for the Red Rose Rumble go on sale May 31st, the date of our Zembo Shrine show.
Great.
Sweet.
So make sure you guys are logged in. Front row will go fast, I'll tell you that, but floor seating usually sticks around for a little bit. And if you want to just sit in the stands and do general admission, it's a huge stadium. The first year we had 2,800 people. Wow. That is the largest crowd I've ever been in front of, and that was really, really cool.
Nice.
Smallest crowd being 13. I'll tell it. You guys want to have me back? I'll tell some of those stories.
SWO was like kind of in the middle of that.
SWO does very good crowds. They have a really, really good.
They have very well for the
and if you come to a 3LW show, you're going to see a lot of those same fans.
Nice.
Yeah, because a lot of them, because they are in the area, because we don't run that far away from each other. And I
saw we had Ace and Cody Rose at the one last week, and I saw you posted Ace and Cody Rose. Less than a month ago. So
you'll see a lot of, we do, and this is actually something good to end with too, because I know we had mentioned this off the air. You had mentioned how territorial is wrestling. When I first got in,
it used to be very regional.
Oh yeah, when I first got in, people were stepping on each other to run you out of town. If you ran in the building and somebody else ran there, oh my God, they'd come after you. People, there are stories of guys ripping down flyers up in the Northeast PA area where I got started, and telling people, if you work for them, you can't work for me and everything. 3LW, SWO, and a lot of the other promotions I work with have really good working relationships with people. And we won't run in your territory area if you don't run in ours, and we'll exchange talent. And the fans appreciate that too, because we're all in this together. And those are really good working relationships to have.
Well, so you love like Cody Rose or something. You can go see him at 3 Legacies, and then you can go over to SWO and see him double feature.
And some of the young talents do try to double book themselves sometimes, and that can be really, I'm going to work the Saturday afternoon show, and then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to race to the night show and hope I make it in time. And I've seen people running into the building during intermission already in their gear because they didn't even change it the last show. Like, I'm here.
Yeah, your opponent couldn't make it tonight. Oh, never mind.
They're here. There's plenty of stories about that too. And
love to have you back.
Well, that's a young talent. I want to get booked everywhere, so I'm going to try the double shots, but all those X factors, okay, I'm going to open on the afternoon card, and I'm going to main event the night card. That'll give me plenty of time, and then all it takes is that traffic situation or that blown tire, and that's it. So
that's where that cardio comes into play.
Exactly.
You're gonna run, leave the car.
That's 7 miles away, and I got 16 minutes to get there.
Just flag down some trucker on 81. You'll be good.
There you go.
I'll get you free admission. Come on.
But yeah, and I just want to say real quick to everybody out there who does support independent wrestling, like this is why the WWE exists, because of promotions like this. Come out, have a good time, and you might make a brand new fan. Just saying.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, this was...
You've got to be a heel, though, if you want Noah to be your fan. he prefers to
You
have
gotta
the
hate-
8-year-olds
He
ready to beat him up.
He cheered when Anakin turned that lightsaber on
He
in front of
did.
the younglings. He
did.
cheered. He cheered.
My fiance hasn't
what are we
seen it.
going to do?
All right.
Execute
guys.
Order
Use your restroom.
66.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Perfect. That was great. Anything else for anybody? I think that we'll sign off there.
Hope you like the new logo. It's probably changed again by the time we upload this.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what it is now?
But
Yeah.
I think I'm officially a co-host, so
Yeah, we
see
did
a lot
name
more of my
it that.
face. And
We even
Yeah.
changed the name to, as of now, it's Complaint Department Joke No.
Yep.
joke no.
All of our
no.
initials. Yep.
Joking
Yeah. So
Yeah.
happy to
We-
be here, and we'll see how long I last.
His suggestion of no joke, though, was all
I
right.
like no
But the
joke.
problem is that then it doesn't sound like we joke
Complaint
around.
department with no joke.
We joke constantly.
Yeah, that's why
Oh,
I
what's
was
he
like,
talking
joking,
about?
no?
All right. Let us know what you think of the new name. We'll see you guys.
Later.
Cheers, everybody.